Important update about YouTube playlists. Hey everyone. We've received many messages asking why our YouTube playlists aren't showing up. Do we create YouTube playlists? Yes, we absolutely do. So why can't you see them? Honestly, we're not sure. We've been in contact with YouTube support for several months now, but we still haven't received a clear answer or solution. After much discussion, our team has decided to take matters into our own hands. We believe the issue might be related to the number of playlists we've created on a single channel, possibly too many. Our solution? We're launching 2 additional YouTube channels, giving us a total of 3. This way, we can organize our audiobooks better and avoid the playlist visibility issue in the future. This change only affects our YouTube audience. If you're a patron supporter, you can still access all our audiobooks by visiting the collection menu on Patreon. Thanks so much for your time and continued support. Happy listening, and I absolutely will not allow others to hurt my family. Uzumaki Fuashi wiped her tears. She knew that her performance might be a bit embarrassing in front of her daughter. But she really couldn't hold back her emotions. Uzumaki Fuashi took a deep breath. She said seriously, Since I chose to recognize you as my father, I will use my life to follow your will, Pops. I'm like Mom. And Karen looked at Naruto, and like brother Naruto. Gorura. Whitebeard laughed even more happily, his crescent-shaped beard trembling. You are indeed my children. The war at Manaford that brought a shadow over Whitebeard's heart. At this moment, completely dissipated, Kakashi watched this scene in silence. Even though the 4 of them had no blood relationship and 2 of them were from the Uzumaki clan and had just met today. Why were they so harmonious? Just because they all recognized this Whitebeard as their father? A simple Pop's word can make their relationship so good? Speaking of which, why didn't they reject Whitebeard's invitation? Recognizing someone as a father is definitely a big deal in life. They made such a decision so easily? Without consideration? Without thinking about it? Kakashi felt that this might be the unique charm of Whitebeard's personality, a kind of charm that instinctively makes people who lack a family trust in Whitebeard. After much thought, Kakashi felt that this was the only possibility. That being said, this so-called new Whitebeard pirate group, with the addition of Whitebeard, has now expanded to 4 members. One of them is aided by the Ninetales, and the other 2 are members of the Uzumaki clan, who don't seem to be easy to deal with. How long has it been since? It's incredible. The next day, early morning, a group of civilians from the Hidden Grass village hiding in the back mountain finally returned to the village in trembling groups. They all fled to the back mountain temporarily for refuge. They didn't bring any supplies with them. If they continued to hide in the back mountain, they wouldn't have enough food, let alone enough clean fresh water. Now they could only brace themselves and return to the village. So many houses in the village have collapsed. Someone swallowed hard, utterly shocked. At least half of the houses have collapsed, especially those where the ninjas live. Not one is intact. Look over there. Someone else exclaimed in horror. The ninja's office building has collapsed. It was a building of more than 10 floors, now it's collapsed to only 1 or 2 floors. Look at all these bodies, all of them are fellow village ninjas. Was there truly a war last night? Did our village suffer defeat? There are more than 200 ninjas in our village. How could we lose? Could our leader already have? Shush, don't talk nonsense. What presented itself before these civilians was a devastated Hidden Grass village, almost unrecognizable from its original state. 2/3 of the buildings in the entire village had collapsed. Of the remaining 1/3 of buildings in the village, most had suffered varying degrees of damage. The ground was covered with cracks everywhere. Many of these cracks had begun to seep groundwater, forming a complex network of rivers. A dense network of rivers spread across the entire ninja village. At first glance, it was incredibly shocking. Over there are 2 ninjas. A group of civilians from Hidden Grass village suddenly noticed 2 ninjas busy at work not far away. They hurriedly swarmed over. Ninja-sama, what happened last night? Was there an enemy invasion? Did our Hidden Grass village win? As soon as they reached the 2 ninjas, someone couldn't help but ask one question after another. The 2 ninjas were survivors from Hidden Grass village. They were all wrapped in bandages, cleaning up the ruins of the village. Seeing a group of people coming up to ask questions, one of the ninjas, with his head down in despair, pointed to his empty forehead, where there was no ninja headband. He retorted, "What do you think?" Then he ignored these people and continued to clean up these ruins. They had been cleaning since last night. The civilians of Hidden Grass village looked at each other. The scene gradually quieted down. Another ninja on the side was more talkative, and he said frankly, Hidden Grass village has become a thing of the past. The leader. Cough. The former leader of Hidden Grass village is already dead. Out of more than 200 ninjas in the entire village, only more than 30 are left. He spoke shockingly. More than 1,000 houses in the village, more than 700 have been razed to the ground. The daimyo who was temporarily living in the village also went to heaven with the leader of Hidden Grass Village. Now Hidden Grass Village is Whitebeard pirate crew's territory. From now on, the Hidden Grass Village symbol in the village will be erased, and the entire village will hang the flag of Whitebeard pirate crew. After saying these words with a huge amount of information, he paused and said, "This is what happened last night. The remaining ninjas in Hidden Grass Village have to listen to Whitebeard. He asked us to clean up the ruins of the village." As his words fell, the civilians of Hidden Grass Village were shocked. That is to say, in just one night, Hidden Grass Village changed its name? Even the daimyo also died in last night's war? That's a daimyo that has a position above all people. He was killed? Look. The ninja pointed not far away. Do you see that tall wooden pole over there? The flag hanging on it with a black background and white painting is the flag of Whitebeard pirate crew. In fact, when he said these words, even he himself was quite dazed, feeling like a dream. Overnight, his own ninja village was destroyed. Who would have thought that a dignified ninja village would be so vulnerable? Chapter 70, The Harvest. Tool Ninja Kakashi Hatake on the other side, cough. Naruto, acting like a little adult, strained his little face and imitated his pops's expression. Then, he spoke to Uzumaki Fuashi and Karen. Our Whitebeard pirates, first of all, it's a pirate crew. The most important thing a pirate crew should do is to occupy territory, rob treasures, and recruit companions. He was discussing the Whitebeard pirates' style with the two new daughters his pops had recently adopted. Looking at Naruto's enthusiastic and serious appearance, Uzumaki Fuashi didn't interrupt him. Instead, she listened to this little adult talk with a gentle smile. Occupy territory, rob treasures, recruit companions? Is that what Dad is doing now? Karen was holding her mother's thin hand. Her little face was full of confusion. That's right. Naruto gave her a thumbs up, still clumsily imitating Whitebeard's speaking style. Karen, your understanding is very high. You are indeed a family member of Whitebeard pirate. We have already taken down the Hidden Grass Village. Now the entire Hidden Grass Village is our territory. This is occupying territory. From now on, the Hidden Grass Village has to pay us taxes every year. Of course, since this is our territory. Once the Hidden Grass Village is attacked, it's equivalent to attacking the Whitebeard pirates, equivalent to provoking the Whitebeard pirates. Pops once said that if anyone dares to do this, the Whitebeard pirates will definitely counterattack and crush the other party. Naruto is now in the shape of a pirate. It's just that this pirate doesn't want to become the pirate king. After all, in the ninja world, there is no concept of pirate king. He is a little pirate who wants to surpass Hokage. Recruiting companions is easy to understand. Naruto said, we are all family members adopted by Pops. This is recruiting companions. Pops once said that family is the most important. The Whitebeard pirates have always been upholding? Uzumaki Fuashi prompted when Naruto got stuck. Oh. Right. Naruto, who hadn't been to school, suddenly realized, Pops once said that the Whitebeard pirates have always upheld the principle of family first. Family is everything. The Whitebeard pirates are a family. Naruto believes that he is not only Pops' son. He is also the first crew member of the new Whitebeard pirates. He has the responsibility and obligation to explain some things to two newcomers. In fact, he was also repeating what Whitebeard had once said to him. And it wasn't complete when he repeated it. Because the hot-blooded idiot can't remember very clearly. Family, home. Uzumaki Fuashi's hand, holding on to Karen's slender hand, trembled slightly. Even though she was already an adult, facing these two luxurious words, she still found it hard to remain calm. She looked at Naruto in front of her. Starting from last night. This child, who also has the surname Uzumaki, is he her family too? With this thought in mind, the look in Uzumaki Fuashi's eyes towards Naruto became even gentler. He. Naruto suddenly showed an excited smile like a little fox. And now, what our Whitebeard pirate group has to do is plunder treasures. Pops told us to find out where the Hidden Grass Village hides their treasures. Uncle Kakashi. Please. Naruto turned his head to look at Kakashi, who had a speechless face and was full of black lines. I know. The dead fish eyes that Kakashi showed were full of resistance. But he had to compromise. Because it was not Naruto who was asking him. It was Whitebeard asking him. Ninja art, summoning jutsu. Kakashi took out a scroll, bit his thumb, and slammed it hard on the scroll. Bang. Woof woof woof. A group of ninja dogs wearing Leaf Village headbands were summoned by him. This kind of summoning technique made Naruto's eyes shine. Uncle Kakashi, can you teach me this? Naruto's eyes were like flashlights. Kakashi ruffled Naruto's hair and decisively refused. Let's talk about it after you understand the three-body technique I taught you a few days ago. Kakashi, why did you call us out again? The only talking ninja dog Pakkun had a more depressed dog face than Kakashi. It even yawned. Kakashi put one hand in his pocket and the other on Naruto's head. Pakkun, you should be able to smell the ink of money, right? I can. Pakkun was confused. You want me to track money? I don't like that smell. Money is the dirtiest thing that humans have. Kakashi said, it would be best to find where the hidden grass village hides their money. Pakkun was listless. This doesn't seem like your style, Kakashi. Could it be that Whitebeard asked you to do this? Kakashi looked at Pakkun. Pakkun looked at Kakashi. Three eyes met. Silence without words. Understood. Pakkun, the dog, sighed dejectedly, feeling that his future life as a dog would be difficult. Would he have to smell money every day? Kakashi said to Naruto, if you follow Pakkun, you'll be able to locate Hidden Grass Village's money. Great. Naruto was very happy, with a brilliant smile. The efficiency of the ninja dogs was very high. Even though most of Hidden Grass Village had turned into ruins and there was still a faint smell of blood in the air, they still found the place with the strongest smell of money. It was under the collapsed office building of the leader of Hidden Grass Village. But a large pile of ruins from the collapsed building made Naruto scratch his head. Uncle, can you move these things? It wasn't until Karen timidly suggested it. Naruto, right. Kakashi. Uncle Kakashi. Naruto looked up at Kakashi. Okay. If he had another choice, he'd rather disobey the third Hokage rather than follow Whitebeard and Naruto. Taking a deep breath, Kakashi said, you guys step back a bit. He quickly formed hand seals. Earth style, earth splitting technique. Boom, the earth split open. A large amount of building ruins also retreated to both sides, revealing a not-so-small underground space in front of them. The area of this underground space is estimated to be nearly 1,000 square meters. Kakashi looked down. Even he was stunned. How much village funds did the leader of Hidden Grass Village embezzle? He couldn't help but blurt out such a sentence. The underground space of nearly 1,000 square meters was filled with piles of banknotes, each pile at least 1.5 meters high. The length and width are about the same as a double bed. There are more than 10 piles. In addition, there is a small pile of gold bars stacked in the corner. Under the sunlight, it looks extremely golden. Those who don't know might think they have dug into a bank vault. Uzumaki Fuashi next to him was shocked and murmured, these banknotes add up to 200 million ryo, right? These gold bars added up might also sell for 200 million ryo. 400 million ryo. Kakashi's dead fish eyes also widened. Even Hidden Leaf Village, such a super large-scale ninja village. The annual budget is only 1 billion ryo. This village leader, he's really good at making money. Kakashi was shocked. No wonder Hidden Grass Village looks so poor. Even the ninjas don't have a few exploding tags on them. So, all the money is right here. Chapter 71, Shaking the Ninja World. Rebuilding a Moby Dick. The entire Hidden Grass Village has been taken over by the Whitebeard pirates. No one in the village has any objections to this. At the same time, Whitebeard also obtained a large amount of wealth in the Hidden Grass Village. Thanks to that money-loving leader of the Hidden Grass Village. If that Hidden Grass Village leader was a capable person, there probably wouldn't be so much cash and gold in the basement of the Hidden Grass Village's government building. Unfortunately, he is not a capable leader. Under his leadership, the entire village exudes a sense of poverty and despicable from inside to out. After a careful count, it can be confirmed that the Whitebeard pirates harvested a total of 210 million ryo in the Hidden Grass Village, as well as 180 million ryo worth of gold. This amount, it's just a little bit different from Uzumaki Fuashi's estimate of 400 million ryo. Gorrrr. Adding the money we robbed from the Land of Fire, isn't it just 400 million ryo? Whitebeard laughed heartily, my foolish children. With these 400 million, we can build the Moby Dick. For Whitebeard, if a pirate group doesn't have a ship, can it still be called a pirate group? Moby Dick. Naruto scratched his head, what is that? Bang. Ouch. Naruto held his head with tears in his eyes. A big bump popped out on his head from Whitebeard's fist of love. Foolish son. Whitebeard said, this was once a pirate ship that accompanied me for many years. Once? Karen quietly moved away from Naruto a few steps. She was afraid that she would also get hit by Whitebeard's fist of love. Yes. Once. Whitebeard's eyes flashed with reminiscence. In an unprecedented war, the Moby Dick, which once dominated the sea, was burned down. But the reminiscence in his eyes quickly disappeared. Whitebeard grinned and said, so, I want to rebuild an identical Moby Dick in the ninja world. This is a super battleship that can accommodate 1,600 people. 1,600 people. Uzumaki Fuushi's eyes also widened a bit. The two children, Naruto and Karen, are not very sensitive to this number. But she, an adult, knows very well what this means. You know. The whole Hidden Grass village, including civilians and ninjas, there are only a few thousand people. In other words, this pirate ship can carry nearly 1/4 of the population of Hidden Grass village. This is... how amazing. To build a battleship of this scale, I'm afraid you need to go to a place with rich shipbuilding experience. Uzumaki Fuushi said, Land of Grass is an inland country in the ninja world. Even the largest river in the country cannot accommodate such a large ship. Gorara. Wherever there is such a ship in the ninja world, the Whitebeard pirates will go straight there. Whitebeard laughed. Land of Water. After recalling for a while, Uzumaki Fuushi said, the country with the strongest shipbuilding technology in the ninja world is Land of Water. In fact, Land of Fire also has coastal areas. Kakashi quietly interjected, maybe you can go back to Land of Fire and hire their shipyard to build such a ship. Naruto left Land of Fire and came to Land of Grass. It has already challenged Hidden Leaf Village's nerves very much. If you run around again and go to Land of Water, won't it be farther and farther away from Land of Fire? If the shipyard of the Land of Fire is so powerful, where was their reinforcement ship when Hidden Eddie Village was destroyed? Uzumaki Fuushi's question choked Kakashi. Honestly, when Hidden Eddie Village was destroyed, Kakashi might have just been born. He might not even have been born yet. How could he know what happened to the Hidden Eddie Village white-haired kid? You are outsiders, don't interfere with our Whitebeard Pirates family meeting. Whitebeard glanced at Kakashi and made Kakashi shut up instantly. At this point, Uzumaki Fuushi continued, in my childhood memories, many of Hidden Eddie Village's ships were built by Land of Water. Or simply bought from Land of Water. Land of Water? Naruto, holding the bump on his head, said. I think I've heard Grandpa Hokage mention this country. Because it's one of the 5 great nations. Uzumaki Fuushi smiled and said. Land of Fire, Land of Water, Land of Earth, Land of Wind, Land of Lightning, these are the 5 great nations of the ninja world. Among them, Land of Fire is the strongest in terms of comprehensive strength and is also one of the most populous and affluent countries. Big sister, you know so much. Naruto was amazed. Pops, let's go to Land of Water. Naruto was excited. Maybe we can pass by Karen and Big Sister's hometown on the way. That called. It's called Hidden Eddie Village. Uzumaki Fuushi's face flashed with loss. Who would want to be homeless in the ninja world? But it might be just a pile of ruins now. My hometown once experienced the disaster of national extinction. What? Hidden Grass Village was destroyed? The daimyo of Land of Grass was killed? What? What's the difference between this and national extinction? Land of Fire Hidden Leaf Village. Although it is a neighboring country, when the high-level officials of Hidden Leaf Village learned about this matter, it was already several days later. Saratobe Hiruzen, who had been discharged from the hospital for a long time and was still in a wheelchair, just returned to the Hokage office today. He was greeted with such shocking news. Saratobe Hiruzen puffed and puffed on his pipe, his eyebrows furrowed enough to pinch a fly. His old face was full of solemnity. His eyes were full of incredulity. Edward Newgate. Saratobe Hiruzen took a deep breath of smoke, feeling the spicy smoke swirling in his mouth. He felt that the wounds on his body that had healed not long ago were faintly painful again. The information returned from Land of Grass was a bit delayed in time, but the description was very detailed. From this information, Saratobe Hiruzen knew very clearly what big things Whitebeard had done in Land of Grass. The entire Land of Grass. Except for Hazuki Castle, which has always maintained absolute neutrality, there are only more than 30 ninjas left. And in the entire Hidden Grass Village, all hung pirate flags. Saratobe Hiruzen exhaled smoke, and publicly killed the daimyo. A giant who claimed to be a pirate forcibly seized a ninja village and even seized a country. Whitebeard pirates, huh? What is Whitebeard pirates? The neighboring countries of the Land of Grass encompass not just the Land of Fire but also the Land of Waterfall, the Land of Earth, and the Land of Rain. Such a big event happened in the Land of Grass. They also got first-hand information. Hanzo of the Salamander, who is known as a demigod in the ninja world, has long lost his youthful spirit and ambition and even lost his former faith. The whole person has become self-confident and suspicious with deep thoughts. In a short period of time, the land grass was destroyed. Hanzo of the Salamander's old face hidden under the gas mask showed a few serious and vigilant looks. Honestly, he is confident that with the strength of Hidden Rain Village, he can do this too. After all, Hidden Grass Village is one of the bottom-ranked ninja villages in the entire ninja world. However, Hidden Rain Village represents a country and represents the entire Rain country. And what does that Whitebeard pirate group represent? A pirate group that can destroy a country. This is unbelievable. For some reason, Hanzo of the Salamander suddenly thought of Akatsuki organization, which has been growing stronger recently. Back then he teamed up with Denzo to deal with Akatsuki organization but failed to destroy it. On the contrary, in recent years, Akatsuki organization hidden in the dark has gradually developed into a behemoth that shocked him. Really? He closed his eyes. Troublesome guys are popping up one after another. Chapter 72, Whitebeard with a bounty of over 100 million. Who would have thought that at the critical time when we were planning to avenge Yahiko and preparing to kill Hanzo, such a powerful figure would appear in the neighboring country of Land of Rain. In one of the temporary bases of the Akatsuki organization. Wearing a black cloak embroidered with red clouds, with light blue-purple hair tied up in a bun, and a pretty face, Conan is definitely the most dazzling flower in the Akatsuki organization. She pushed a wheelchair to a place where the sun could shine, looking forward to an undeveloped dense forest in front of her. A man was sitting in the wheelchair. Compared to Conan, he could only be said to have a nose and a face, and he looked like a human being. Whitebeard. Conan said, I have never heard of this name. This should not be a person's name. It sounds more like a nickname. Nagato, do you think he will affect our actions? Conan inquired. No. Nagato, sitting in the wheelchair, shook his head. I don't know why, maybe it's an intuition. But being able to destroy a ninja village with one's own power and not being afraid of becoming the target of all country in the ninja world, killing the daimyo of a country, this person is indeed very remarkable. Nagato looked up at the bright sunshine. In this place called Hidden Rain Village, there may be only less than 10 days in 365 days a year that can have such weather. I want to recruit him into Akatsuki. He's an exceptionally powerful individual. If he becomes one of us, the strength of our Akatsuki will undoubtedly reach new heights. Nagato finished speaking and then asked, who do you think should be sent to contact this Whitebeard? Conan thought for a while. Orochimaru joined Akatsuki but hasn't accomplished much. When given tasks, he performs them half-heartedly, and this has happened multiple times. She said, Akatsuki is not his shelter. This time let Orochimaru and Sasori go together. Nagato nodded. Agreed. It's indeed time for him to move. The Whitebeard pirates have destroyed the Land of Grass. Will such an ambitious pirate group attack our hidden waterfall village? A ninja from the waterfall country worriedly said. Leader, although no village has attacked us for decades, we must guard against the Whitebeard pirates. Pirates, they sound like thieves. They won't care about justice, they will only loot and kill. The leader of the hidden waterfall village sat in a chair. His hands were crossed, his elbows were on the desk, and he said, if a mere pirate group dares to invade the waterfall country, let them come and never return. There is no need to worry too much. The leader of the waterfall village continued, I believe that our hidden waterfall village is second only to the hidden rain village. Don't forget, we have Jinchuriki. The power of tailed beasts is unmatched in the entire ninja world. As a village leader, his words also calmed the people in the hidden waterfall village. He was right. Although the hidden waterfall village is a small village, it has never experienced war in decades. It must have accumulated very strong power, which is not comparable to the Land of Grass. In addition, they also have the power of tailed beasts. In this way, they are even more confident. Absurd. How can anyone dare to kill a daimyo? The Whitebeard pirates, only such thieves can do such rebellious things, right? Land of Earth Hidden Stones Village. The information of Rock Village is 2 days behind Hidden Leaf Village, Hidden Rain Village, and Hidden Waterfall Village. After all, although this village is very defensive, it is also very difficult to communicate with the outside world. And Anoki's stubborn character represents his extreme disagreement with Whitebeard's approach. There are few unwritten rules in the ninja world. One of them is, never kill nobles and daimyo. Ninjas who dare to break this unwritten rule will basically be regarded as heretics among ninjas. It will also be wanted by the entire ninja world. Become a wanted criminal. Throwing away the information file in his hand, Anoki snorted coldly. If this so-called Whitebeard pirate group dares to appear in the Land of Earth, Hidden Stones Village will destroy it. But Anoki's cunning eyes flickered. The Land of Grass has lost the Hidden Grass Village and the Land of Grass's daimyo, which means that the entire country is in a state of leaderless chaos. He was tempted. In his life, Anoki had always considered the interests of the village every day. But soon, he shook his head again. Land of Grass, it's too poor. Even if the Hidden Stones Village didn't take action against the nobles of the Land of Grass, there was no way to squeeze any resources out of such a poor country. But obviously, Anoki would not take action against the nobles. In addition, the Hidden Grass Village in the Land of Grass had probably been looted by the Whitebeard pirates. If they made a big fuss about it, they probably wouldn't make a profit. As the news of Hidden Grass Village being destroyed and Land of Grass's daimyo being killed continued to spread in the ninja world, the nobles and daimyos of all major ninja countries immediately became restless. The first to become restless were naturally the nobles of the Land of Grass. They could never have imagined that their country's daimyo had become a corpse cut into overnight. The nobles of the Land of Grass were furious and terrified. The strong sense of crisis made them restless day and night. Before this, almost no ninja dared to mess with them, nobles or daimyos. The life and death struggles between ninjas had nothing to do with them, these nobles. But now, the appearance of the Whitebeard pirates broke this unwritten rule, making all the nobles in the Land of Grass worry about their safety. After several days and nights of intense discussion, they finally came to a conclusion. They must kill the person who broke this hidden rule, so that no other ninja attempts such actions. The nobles of the Land of Grass began to contact other ninja countries' nobles. The nobles of other ninja countries naturally feared people like Whitebeard. Not a single noble, who initially held a high position, wants to turn into a dead meat. So, a bounty on Whitebeard circulated throughout the ninja world. This bounty was astonishingly a joint fund raised by many ninja countries' nobles and daimyos, and announced to all major ninja villages. Bounty criminal, Edward Newgate, nickname, Whitebeard, country destroyer, giant, group, Whitebeard pirate, level, S-level bounty criminal, bounty, 100 million Ryo, requirement, kill. When such an astonishing bounty appeared on different ninja village missions, it was enough to shake the entire ninja world. A whopping 100 million Ryo. A small ninja village's annual budget is probably just this number. This also happens to show how afraid of death those nobles and daimyos in the ninja world are. Chapter 73, You Will Regret. Hidden Leaf Village. In the office of the Hokage building, Itachi Uchiha, who was guarding outside the office, could vaguely hear a noise coming from inside. Sarutobi. Whitebeard's actions have made the entire ninja world aware of his existence. Shimura Denzo's face was gloomy as he slapped a bounty order for Whitebeard in front of Sarutobi Hiruzen. A bounty of 100 million, almost comparable to you, the Hokage of Hidden Leaf Village. Denzo said, such a high bounty for Whitebeard will definitely arouse the curiosity of various ninja villages. Once they investigate in certain directions, it won't take long to find out that Naruto Uzumaki is the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki. He didn't wait for Sarutobi Hiruzen to speak. He started to talk endlessly. Naruto Uzumaki can hide his Jinchuriki identity in the village. Once the power of the Nine-Tails leaks out, it can be sealed in time. But outside the village, once the power of the Nine-Tails inside him leaks out, even a blind man would know he is the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki. And another thing. Hishimura clan's casino in the Land of Fire was actually robbed by Whitebeard. The damn Whitebeard even forcibly demanded that this casino give him no less than 70% of the profits every year. Denzo was very angry when he learned about this news a while ago. And Sarutobi Hiruzen was puffing on his pipe indifferently. The entire office was filled with smoke. The pungent smell of second-hand smoke made Denzo frown. Denzo, what do you want to do? Sarutobi Hiruzen looked up at Denzo standing in front of him. Assassinate Whitebeard. Denzo's eyes flashed with killing intent. Whitebeard and the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki have established a bond that should not be established. He must die. Sarutobi Hiruzen knocked on the table with his pipe. The table was information from a few days ago. Whitebeard was able to destroy the entire Hidden Grass Village with his own power, and he was able to defeat me in the village. Sarutobi Hiruzen asked, what confidence do you have that you can assassinate him? That's because you're old. That's because you're useless. That's because you should retire. These three sentences flashed through Denzo's mind, but he didn't say them. Instead, he said, the reason why Hidden Grass Village was destroyed is because they are too weak. Even I can destroy Hidden Grass Village overnight. And don't forget, Sarutobi, we are Hidden Leaf Village. Denzo continued, as long as you're willing to lend me a person, I guarantee that I can take Whitebeard's head. Who? Sarutobi Hiruzen didn't agree but asked instead. Denzo spit out a name, Shizue Uchiha. Shizue. Sarutobi Hiruzen closed his eyes. His eyes? After a while, he shook his head. I feel this method is too extreme. This is not our style in Hidden Leaf Village. And Shizue is very special. He is a very special Uchiha. I don't want him to have an accident. Sarutobi Hiruzen said, this young man concerns the future of Uchiha and the village. Damn it. Refused again. Denzo gritted his teeth. Sarutobi, you are too indecisive. Once Jinchuriki is used by Whitebeard, how can you face the second Hokage? How can you face the first Hokage? Denzo, what I say is what it is. Even sitting in a wheelchair, Sarutobi Hiruzen said so, don't give orders to Root without my permission. Sarutobi, every time I come to you with some suggestions, you refuse and refute me every time. Denzo could no longer restrain himself, exclaiming. All my suggestions are in the best interest of Hidden Leaf Village. If you remain so indecisive, Sarutobi, you'll regret it. Denzo, I am the Hokage. Sarutobi Hiruzen said lightly. Bang. Denzo didn't bother to listen to what Sarutobi Hiruzen had to say next. He turned around, opened the door, and slammed it. The force was so great that the door almost broke. Shimura Denzo, who had left the Hokage's office, suddenly noticed Itachi Uchiha standing by the door. Although Itachi was wearing a Nanbu mask at the moment, Denzo still recognized him. And he paid close attention to Itachi Uchiha. And understood him very well. Denzo took a deep look at him again, but didn't say much. He left the Hokage building directly. When he got outside. I am the Hokage, I am the Hokage. The more Denzo thought about it, the angrier he got. His hands were shaking. Damn Sarutobi, can you say anything else? In these short 2 or 3 months. Denzo had gone to Sarutobi Hiruzen for various reasons, about the Uchiha clan, about Whitebeard, about Jinchuriki. But without exception. All he could hear from Sarutobi Hiruzen's mouth were those 5 words that left him speechless, I am the Hokage. Sarutobi, if you don't want to do this kind of thing, I'll do it for you. A hint of gloom flashed in Denzo's eyes. His gaze turned in a certain direction, where the Uchiha clan was located, Uchiha. Shizui. Meanwhile, Sarutobi Hiruzen quietly watched Denzo's retreating figure. Silently smoking his pipe. Without making a sound until Denzo's figure completely disappeared from sight. The smoke from his pipe engulfed half of Sarutobi Hiruzen's face. The half that was exposed showed a hint of worry, the half that was submerged carried a hint of a smile that ordinary people couldn't detect. After all, some things are not suitable for him as Hokage to do. Or even mention. Land of Fire remote small town. A rebuilt casino looked very simple. Rather than calling it a casino, it was more like a large wooden shed that had just been set up. You're cheating. You must be cheating. Tsunade, who had lost all but 20 ryo of the money she had won from Whitebeard in less than half a month, was furious. Her gnashing appearance made the person in charge of the casino sweat profusely and extremely nervous. Because this casino had been hit by Whitebeard's poisonous hand not long ago. That day also thoroughly made the people in the casino understand that when someone wants to break some rules, they can't stop them. Tsunade-sama. The current temporary person in charge of this casino is not from the Shimura clan. Because that person from the Shimura clan is still in the hospital and hasn't come out yet. You are welcome to inspect our casino facilities. If you really find any cheating behavior, we are willing to compensate you double. The person in charge of the casino showed great humility. Humphrey. Tsunade didn't take his words seriously. Because she was just venting her frustration earlier on. I don't believe it. Today I will use my last 20 taels to win your casino. Just as Tsunade took out her last banknote, Shizune rushed in anxiously with Tonton in her arms. Shizune, who was holding Tonton, quickly ran over to Tsunade's side. Tsunade-sama. Something big has happened. Tsunade was taken aback. Before she could say anything, Shizune had already leaned over and whispered something into her ear. Tsunade's eyes widened as she listened. What? Chapter 74, Tsunade's decision. Naruto's three-body technique. The news that Shizune brought back was surprisingly about Whitebeard. After all, they were in a relatively remote place. Plus, there was no one specifically delivering information to them. Their news was more delayed than anyone else's. Tsunade was dumbfounded. How long have they been gone? They've caused a big event that has shocked the entire ninja world? And, hasn't Whitebeard's stitches been removed yet? In the end, she is still a medical ninja. Tsunade frowned and said, before he left, I told him that it would be best not to exercise vigorously for 2 years. Did he forget my medical advice as soon as he turned around? Shizune weakly said, Tsunade-sama, Whitebeard's physical condition is extremely bad. If he doesn't rest for 2 years after the operation, his chronic illness may recur. That's also his choice. Tsunade sighed, I've never seen such a willful old man before. Tsunade-sama, should we catch up with Whitebeard and continue treatment for him? Shizune asked softly, maybe we can completely cure his body? Huh? Tsunade looked at her in surprise. Shizune was poking at Tonton's little hand restlessly. She weakly explained, Naruto is the child of Minato Namikaze, and Whitebeard is currently Naruto's only relative. I think we shouldn't let such a poor child experience the feeling of losing a loved one twice. Tsunade was silent. Even if Whitebeard is wanted by the entire ninja world and is called the evil nation-destroying pirate. But from my contact with Whitebeard, Shizune continued, maybe those people misunderstood something? Whitebeard is not that kind of unforgivable person. Tsunade ignored Shizune. She slapped her last 20 ryo on a simple gambling table. Under Shizun's disappointed look, Tsunade gambled wildly. She shouted, "Bet big. Bet big. Bet 6 sixes. What are you dazing for?" "Ah. Oh." The casino dealer hurriedly shook the dice cup, and it took half a minute before he slammed the dice cup on the table. "Open." Tsunade stared closely to prevent the casino from cheating. The dealer hurriedly opened the dice cup. Then, under Tsunade's stunned expression, the casino dealer slowly took away Tsunade's last 20 taels and showed a shy smile. "Tsunade-sama, do you want to continue?" "Tsunade. Gamble your ass. You must have cheated, I just didn't see it for now. Let's go." Tsunade got up with a black face. Shizun followed behind. Soon, Shizun was puzzled to find that the direction Tsunade was going was not where they were temporarily living in this town. "Tsunade-sama?" She quietly reminded, "Did we go the wrong way?" "No." Tsunade said expressionlessly, "If you lose all your money in gambling, you must earn it back." "Earn money?" Shizun was taken aback. Whitebeard destroyed Grass Ninja Village, and all the wealth of the entire small country ninja village is in his hands. He is probably richer than some nobles. Tsunade said. "Eh? Huh?" Shizun exclaimed, "Tsunade-sama, have you accepted my suggestion?" Tsunade didn't answer. Because she was momentarily switching between Nawaki and Naruto. Two very alike faces in her mind. In her ears. There is also a sentence once said by Whitebeard echoing. "Whitebeard pirates is a family." Family. Tsunade murmured to herself, "What a charismatic old man with full personality charm and ideals that are incompatible with the ninja world." "Huh? Tsunade-sama, what are you talking about?" Shizun didn't hear clearly. "Thinking about how to eat tonton." Tsunade casually replied. "Eh? Nani? Ninjutsu, transformation jutsu." Bang. A figure that looked somewhat similar to Kakashi appeared, and Naruto looked at his adult body in surprise. "Uncle Kakashi. I've learned the transformation jutsu too." When the Ninetales didn't deliberately interfere, Naruto's talent in learning ninjutsu was definitely top-notch. "I really look like Uncle Kakashi now." Naruto peeked at his reflection in a small pond. He was full of surprise. In less than a month, he has learned all 3 body techniques. Kakashi murmured to himself with a hint of emotion in his lifeless eyes. And he is just a 5-year-old child? Shaking his head, Kakashi slowly walked over to Naruto and carefully examined Naruto's transformed appearance. "There are some flaws," Kakashi commented. "My eyes are double-lidded, but you've transformed into single-lidded eyes. As a ninja, you need to pay attention to very detailed things." Bang. Naruto undid the transformation jutsu, took a deep breath, and used the transformation jutsu again. He still transformed into Kakashi. "Uncle Kakashi, how about now?" Naruto asked. "This time it's good." Kakashi nodded in satisfaction. It seems that the child of Minato and Kushina has indeed inherited their innate talent for ninjutsu. Even though Naruto lives a carefree life being protected by others, he was able to master the 3 body techniques in such a short time. That's really amazing. "Uncle Kakashi, teach me some more powerful ninjutsu." Naruto was eager to try. The kind that can be used in battle. That way, if there's a fight in the future, my dad won't need to take action. I can do it myself. "We need to test what your chakra attribute is." Kakashi was a bit overwhelmed by Naruto's eager gaze. "Chakra attribute?" Naruto scratched his head. Kakashi rummaged through his ninja tool bag and finally pulled out a crumpled piece of paper. "This is chakra test paper," Kakashi explained. "As long as you infuse your body's chakra into this paper, you can know what your chakra attribute is. Everyone's chakra attribute is different, so the ninjutsu they need to learn is also different. If a ninja doesn't have fire attribute chakra, then he can't learn fire-style ninjutsu. If all attributes are very weak or there is no chakra attribute at all, it means that this person is not suitable to be a ninja." "Is that so?" Naruto hesitated a bit. He was worried about what if he was the latter kind that Kakashi mentioned. What should he do then? He couldn't hide his little expression at all. "Gorrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrr your resolve? With your hesitant nature, do you still want to surpass the Hokage? Whitebeard's words gave Naruto courage. He released his chakra and infused it into the test paper in Kakashi's hand. Suddenly, the test paper began to change. Kakashi's eyes widened suddenly. No way? He looked at the test paper and then at Naruto. His expression was very surprised. What's wrong? Uncle Kakashi? Naruto was a bit uneasy. Wind? Kakashi was taken aback. Does the child of Minato and Kushina only have one type of chakra attribute? This was somewhat different from what he had imagined. Wind? Naruto scratched his head after hearing it. I remember that Hokage Grandpa also uses wind-style ninjutsu, right? Hokage-sama is indeed quite good at wind-style. Kakashi said, I've seen Hokage-sama's wind-style. It's very powerful. If you practice hard, you might be as good as Hokage-sama in wind-style. Chapter 75, Teaching Observation Haki. Can I be as powerful as the Grandpa Hokage? Naruto's eyes widened, and he said joyfully. Then, doesn't that mean I can become a Hokage like Grandpa Hokage in the future? Ouch. Naruto was rewarded with a flick on the forehead by Whitebeard. This flick turned Naruto's transformation technique back to its original form. Naruto held his head and howled in pain. Foolish son, don't become such a rotten person. Whitebeard looked down on the third Hokage. Because of what he did to Naruto. It shows that he is not a qualified guardian. Especially after Whitebeard took Naruto as his son, he hated the third Hokage even more. Perhaps only Whitebeard could openly say that the third Hokage of Hidden Leaf Village is a rotten person, right? Kakashi's mouth twitched, then he noticed Karen next to him. Looking at Karen's timid eyes, Kakashi thought for a while and asked, Do you want to try? Karen looked at Whitebeard and found that he was still scolding Naruto, and Naruto was obediently being scolded. Karen looked at her mother again. Uzumaki Fushi stroked her little head. She smiled gently and said, Go ahead and try. Kakashi-san is not a bad person. He is different from those ninjas in Hidden Grass Village. After hearing this, Karen nodded. She walked to Kakashi's side. And at this time, Kakashi also took out another test paper. It was also wrinkled. It was obvious that it had not been well preserved. As for the test paper used by Naruto, he destroyed it. After all, if you use this kind of thing and don't destroy it in time, there's a high probability that the enemy will become aware of it. At that time, what kind of ninjutsu you will use? The enemy basically has a rough understanding. Karen tried to extract the chakra from her body. She knew how to extract chakra. This was taught by Uzumaki Fushi. Soon, the new test paper changed. Water, earth. Kakashi thoughtfully said to Shizune, You are more suitable for learning water-style ninjutsu and earth-style ninjutsu. In addition, as a descendant of the Uzumaki clan, you may also be able to learn medical ninjutsu and the Uzumaki clan's ancestral seal technique. Gulala. Water and earth? Whitebeard's attention was attracted by these words. He rubbed Karen's little head and directly messed up Karen's hair. He laughed heartily. It seems that my daughter of Whitebeard is naturally suitable for going out to sea and staying on the ship. Just because she has a water affinity, is she suitable for going out to sea? Kakashi couldn't understand Whitebeard's straightforward and brutal logic. The next moment, Whitebeard suddenly said to Kakashi, Teaching 1 is teaching, teaching 2 is also teaching. As soon as these words were spoken by Whitebeard, Kakashi realized something was wrong. Teach my daughter too. Whitebeard patted Kakashi on the shoulder. The huge force on his shoulder almost made Kakashi kneel on one knee. Gorrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrr see. I've always liked being a teacher since I was a kid. Kakashi said something very against his will. He pulled out a forced smile under his mask cover. Looking at Karen, Kakashi said, "Then you will learn together in the future." "Thank you, Kakashi-sensei." Uzumaki Fuashi gratefully said, "With your level of ninja tutoring, Karen will definitely grow into an excellent female ninja." After this wave of flattery, Kakashi almost thought he was really a good teacher. He sighed in his heart. The order of the third Hokage forced him onto the pirate ship, and he had no chance to get off the ship even if he wanted to. It's too hard. The next day, after a whole day of practicing ninjutsu, Naruto began receiving special training from Whitebeard the next day. However, this training was a bit different from the usual physical training. Observation Haki? Naruto, who was holding a piece of black cloth, was a bit puzzled when he heard this strange term. "Pops, is this a ninjutsu?" In Naruto's impression, his dad always said that he was not a ninja, so how could his dad know this ninjutsu? "You foolish son." Whitebeard gave Naruto's little head another loud snap, which made Naruto tumble over. Fortunately, these days, Naruto's head has become harder and harder. Such force actually didn't cause a big bump. Isn't this a kind of progress? Observation Haki is not some fancy ninjutsu, it's a power from the sea. Whitebeard meant, this is not a power possessed by the ninja world. Not a ninjutsu? Naruto touched his head, is it taijutsu? It's perception. Whitebeard said, once you learn observation Haki, it means you have an extra eye. This eye can let you perceive the breadth of all things, even detect emotions, see through things, and perceive over a large range. Byakugan? Not far away, Kakashi, who was teaching Karen the clone jutsu, suddenly thought of this term. while Whitebeard was talking to Naruto. He had been eavesdropping. No, this is not eavesdropping, it's openly listening. Mainly because the observation haki described by Whitebeard is very similar to the Byakugan in Kakashi's impression. Even more comprehensive than the Byakugan of the Hyuga clan. For example, the ability to detect emotions. In Kakashi's memory, Byakugan does not seem to have this ability. But observation haki does. This outrageous perception ability can actually be cultivated later? At this point, just listen to Whitebeard continue to say, on the sea, there are 3 kinds of haki. They are observation haki, armament haki, and conqueror's haki. When I knock people out without moving my body, I use conqueror's haki. I've explained observation haki to you. Armament haki is to give people an invisible armor that can enhance a person's defense and attack power. Whitebeard grinned. Advanced armament haki can give people a body harder than steel. Ninjutsu can't harm a body strengthened by advanced armament haki. What Whitebeard said was, full body armament haki. The 3 types of haki he mentioned made Naruto's eyes shine. Wow. That's amazing. Naruto pulled Whitebeard's finger. Pops. Teach me. Gorrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrr become somewhat meaningful. But Naruto didn't notice it. Tie this black cloth on your head and cover your eyes until you can't see anything. Okay. Pops. Naruto immediately did as he was told. Naruto, who fell into darkness in front of him, asked curiously, Pops, what should I do next? Ah. Before he could finish his sentence, Naruto screamed out loud. This is not a cry of pain. It's a scream. Because Whitebeard had already pinched a stone from the ground and threw it at Naruto without hesitation. Whitebeard's laughter sounded like a devil. Gorrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrr stone into 1,000 small stones for you to practice. Dodge as much as you can. Chapter 76, The Meaning of Family is to Protect. Naruto's Awakening. During the time that Whitebeard and others left the land of grass, Uzumaki Fuashi had also experienced the Whitebeard's special training methods for Naruto. It seemed like he was trying to train Naruto to death. At first, she was worried that Naruto might not be able to hold on and suddenly die. But as time went on, she found that Naruto was stronger than anyone else. His vitality was very tenacious. Such vitality, even in their Uzumaki clan, is a very outstanding existence. However, even if the vitality of the Uzumaki clan is so tenacious, people will die under such special training, right? Uzumaki Fuashi swallowed secretly. She looked at Naruto, who was constantly screaming in front of her. She had even rolled up her sleeves, revealing the bite marks all over it. As long as Naruto showed signs of not being able to hold on, she would immediately go over and let Naruto bite her. After all, after spending these days together, she had completely regarded Naruto as her real family member. Just as the Pops said. Whitebeard pirates. It's a big family. Ah. Ah. Woo. Hiss. The only person who made a series of weird screams was Naruto. His clothes were already torn and tattered, and his skin was covered with scars. The bruises and abrasions on his body were countless. Whoosh! A stone as big as Naruto's fist suddenly hit Naruto's abdomen, causing him to retch while holding his stomach. Before Naruto could react, another stone flew over and hit him accurately on the forehead. Bang! A very dull sound. Naruto's body stiffened instantly. Blood flowed from his forehead. The body endured hundreds of hits from stones one after another, and the willpower that was stretched into a string finally couldn't bear it and broke. Naruto rolled his eyes white. He fell back unconscious. Naruto. Uzumaki Fuashi didn't hesitate to take out a kunai and made a small wound on her arm. She immediately went forward and forcibly opened Naruto's mouth, letting the blood flowing from her arm wound drip into Naruto's mouth, trying to hang on to Naruto's life in this way. Clearly, Uzumaki Fuashi underestimated Naruto's cockroach-like vitality. Uzumaki clan plus Night Tail's Jinchuriki plus Azure reincarnation. It's not going to die that easily. However, the blood of the Uzumaki clan is indeed very useful. Naruto, who should have been unconscious for a while, woke up after a few minutes. It hurts. Naruto opened his eyes and found that he was still in darkness. He reached out and took off the black cloth covering his eyes. Big sister? He suddenly saw Uzumaki Fuashi's bleeding arm. Naruto instantly sat up. How did your hand get injured? Eh? What's this taste in my mouth? Why is there a rusty taste? Naruto smacked his lips, and in the next instant, this hot-blooded fool reacted. His eyes widened. Big sister, you. It's okay. Uzumaki Fuashi smiled gently and took out a bandage to wrap the wound on her arm. Compared to being bitten by someone, cutting with a kunai doesn't hurt that much. But. Naruto stammered, Didn't Pops let Big Sister and Karen join the Whitebeard Pirates so that you wouldn't have to use blood to heal wounds in the future? There's a big difference between being forced and volunteering. Uzumaki Fuushi's smile could melt ice and snow. You know, Naruto and Pops and Karen, they're all my family. Family. Naruto began to have a deeper understanding of this simple word. His embarrassed little face showed some determination. Big Sister. I will become very strong. As strong as Pops. I will protect you and Karen with Pops. Naruto's voice was young, but firm. I will become the Hokage of Hidden Leaf Village, and then I will bring you to Hidden Leaf Village. Uzumaki Fuushi was taken aback. Okay. Her nose was a bit sour. She held back her tears in front of her daughter, reached out and ruffled Naruto's hair. Big Sister believes in you. Although the entire pirate crew, including Whitebeard himself, only consisted of 4 people, the harmonious interaction between the crew members and the deepening bond between family members made Whitebeard very satisfied. This is what family is. What Whitebeard pursued in his life at sea was nothing more than this. He had a complete family at sea. Now, he also started to have a family in the ninja world. Gorrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrr 10 stones at you, and you've only dodged 21. With this kind of result, you're far from being able to protect your family. Pops, please continue. Naruto took a deep breath and shouted seriously at Whitebeard, please train me with the intention of killing me. I want to become Hokage, I want to surpass Hokage, I want to protect my family. Naruto's voice grew louder and his tone was as firm as iron, this is my ninja way as Naruto Uzumaki. Good. Very spirited. Whitebeard's smile grew wider, he shouted boldly, then show 200 times more effort and perseverance than ordinary people. This father and son duo were shouting louder than each other. Even the nearby birds were startled into flight. It made Kakashi teaching Karen the clone jutsu not far away feel a bit dazed. He even had some illusions that he saw two Might Guy in front of him. This 72-year-old man. And a 5-year-old child. Aren't they too hot-blooded? The next moment, Naruto embarked on a new round of torturous training, and Whitebeard was not going to be gentle with Naruto. If he couldn't even endure this bit of pain, he would never be able to become a man of the sea in his lifetime. What surprised Whitebeard was, this time, when Naruto was hit by a stone, he actually endured the pain and didn't scream out in pain. Moreover, for every 10 stones he threw, Naruto dodged one. You know. Naruto was blindfolded this time. This foolish son. Whitebeard held a stone in his hand and smiled with satisfaction, he's progressing so fast. He's really an extraordinary genius. Whoosh, Whitebeard said so, but he didn't show any mercy. The stone in his hand broke through the air instantly. It hit Naruto's lower leg accurately. Hiss. The intense pain made Naruto gasp for breath. His head was full of cold sweat. Tears and snot were all flowing out because of the pain. When another stone flew over, Naruto had a vague feeling of palpitations. His forehead skin suddenly felt cold. Instinctively squatted down quickly. The flying stone grazed his scalp and flew past. But before Naruto could be happy, another stone hit his nose. Ah! He finally couldn't help but scream out in pain. The intermittent screams once again resounded in this area. It hurts the listener. Tears fall from Naruto's face. Naruto. Kakashi watched, quite lost. He found that even a 5-year-old child was working harder than him. His awareness is higher than that of an Anbu ninja like him. Family. Looking at Karen who was practicing the clone jutsu, and then at Whitebeard who was torturing Naruto, Kakashi sighed. His eyes were dim. Family, this word seems like a luxury that he can't afford. Chapter 77, Family, more reliable than the will of fire. Who? Land of water. Ho. Moby Dick. Ho. Building a big ship. Ho. When Naruto finished his brutal training with observation hockey, he was again on the road, carrying 300 kg of money on his back. This extremely hard special training made the 5-year-old Naruto visibly muscular. Naruto, drenched in sweat, felt extremely tired. But in order not to delay the progress to the land of water, he could only grit his teeth and keep moving forward. Every step was a challenge for him. The key point is, when he was undergoing this combined strength and endurance training, Whitebeard did not allow him to use chakra. He could only rely on physical strength for special training. This was even more difficult. Fortunately, Naruto had been persisting in this special training for almost 2 months. Regardless of how strong he was at just 5 years old, his willpower was already stronger than many ninjas. And Naruto's actions actually motivated others. Especially since the reason he accepted this masochistic special training was to protect what he considered his family. Karen, who also considered Naruto as family. She was also quietly learning from Naruto's actions. Of course, The only cheat Karen had was the Uzumaki bloodline, and she naturally fell short compared to Naruto, who had a bunch of cheats. She initially imitated Naruto and carried dozens of pounds of weight. However, less than an hour later, even the Uzumaki bloodline was of no use. Karen honestly reduced the weight by half. Finally, she could hold on a little longer. Even her own daughter was working so hard. As a mother, Uzumaki Fuashi was also talking with Kakashi along the way. They were not chatting idly. They were discussing sealing techniques. Uzumaki Fuashi inherited some sealing techniques from the Uzumaki clan, but she spent her life either wandering or being used as a tool by the Hidden Grass village. She hardly had any chance to pick up her inheritance. Now, she finally got rid of her wandering fate. She also got rid of her fate as a tool. In order to be able to help Whitebeard and to play a small role in the Whitebeard pirates family, Uzumaki Fuashi decided to ask Kakashi for advice. And pick up sealing techniques again. Gorrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrr Fuashi, Whitebeard seemed to be back in those days at sea. His sons at sea were also so hardworking when they were on the ship. Their efforts were not only for their own dreams, but also to protect their family's dreams without reservation. To escort their own and their family's dreams. This is what the Whitebeard pirates are all about. As Whitebeard walked, he suddenly asked, Karen, Fuashi, what are your dreams? What do you want to do? What kind of future do you hope for yourselves? His words left both Karen and Fuashi stunned. Their dreams? Karen, who was about the same age as Naruto, was more innocent. Or rather more naive. After carrying 30 kilograms of weight for half a day and being so tired that her little face was pale, Karen, who was completely relying on the Uzumaki bloodline, thought seriously for a few seconds. Then she replied to Whitebeard. Pops, I want to be with you guys forever. I want to become an excellent female ninja. Although Uzumaki Fuashi was a very young mother, she was still an adult after all. She thought for a full half-minute before she took a deep breath and said firmly, since the destruction of the Hidden Eddy village, my life has been like a walking corpse. It wasn't until the appearance of Karen, until your appearance and Naruto's appearance, that my world began to see rays of light that woke me up. I don't have a dream of my own. The only thing I want to do is to protect Pops's dreams, protect Karen's dreams, protect Naruto's dreams. Or rather, protect the dreams of my current family and future family. And the future I hope for is that no family member will be missing. Even if I have to sacrifice my life, I will make sure that the Whitebeard pirates will not lose a single family member. When an adult who has experienced countless darkness talks about dreams, the topic will inevitably become heavier. Whitebeard suddenly put his finger on Uzumaki Fuashi's head. Under Uzumaki Fuashi's astonished and surprised gaze, Whitebeard laughed and said, Stupid daughter, how can the children of the sea not have their own dreams? Don't let this twisted ninja world affect your heart. His words left Uzumaki Fuashi completely stunned. Ignoring all kinds of darkness in the ninja world. What does she want to do? Or rather, what was her dream before she took refuge in the hidden grass village when she was displaced? In a trance. Damn it. Why did they slaughter our Uzumaki clan? Why didn't they even let go of civilians? Who are you guys? Fuashi. Promise Mom, leave the Uzumaki village and live on. Strive to live on. Live on for the Uzumaki. Damn it. How did I get pregnant? I was just playing around. Don't cling to me. The child in your belly is the future of the Uzumaki clan? Don't joke around. The bloodline of the Uzumaki clan only brings about disaster. Mom, do I have other relatives? One scene after another, one sentence after another emerged in her memory. Unconsciously, tears streamed down Uzumaki Fuashi's face. She originally had a self. She is Uzumaki Fuashi. Her surname is Uzumaki. Pops. Uzumaki Fuashi suddenly looked up, her expression even more serious than before. To put it abstractly, her eyes seemed to have light. I want to revitalize the Uzumaki clan. I want the Uzumaki clan to have a voice that cannot be ignored in the ninja world again. I want to avenge the Uzumaki clan. Gorura. This is my daughter. The ambition carried by Uzumaki Fuashi's explosive dream. It reminded Whitebeard of many female pirates at sea. Their dreams and ideas were different, some were even very strange, but they all had one thing in common: they were never confused and had a very independent self. Uzumaki Fuashi lacked this before. Now, she has it. Kakashi, who was on the side, couldn't help but twitch his eyelids when he saw this change in Uzumaki Fuashi. He had a strange feeling that Whitebeard seemed to be deliberately stirring up the ambitions of his children. Just one Whitebeard was already giving Hidden Leaf Village a headache. If Whitebeard cultivated a group of children whose ambitions were not inferior to his, or even surpassed him, what would the vast ninja world become? But he had to admit, Whitebeard was indeed a qualified father, and the Whitebeard pirates were indeed a qualified family. Stick to your own dreams. Protect your family's dreams. Is this your ninja way? Whitebeard. Kakashi murmured to himself. For some reason, he felt that this seemed more reliable than the will of fire. At least, it's not empty talk. Chapter 78, Orochimaru, Sasori. Akatsuki and the Whitebeard pirates. The land of water and the land of grass are separated by the land of fire. If someone with ulterior motives were to lead the way, they would definitely go around the land of fire. After all, people with ulterior motives do not want the Jinchuriki to return to the land of fire. But the person leading the way is Kakashi. How could Kakashi possibly hope that Naruto would not get close to the land of fire? He wished Naruto would return to the land of fire. Even return to Hidden Leaf Village. So the route Kakashi planned for Whitebeard was to cross the land of fire. What if they suddenly changed their minds in the land of fire and decided not to go to the land of water? He put a lot of thought into it. Kakashi felt that he was earning such a small salary as an Anbu ninja. But he does things every day that exceed this salary limit. It's too hard for him. However, Whitebeard's bounty is not just an internal bounty from Hidden Leaf Village, but a bounty against him from the entire ninja world. Kakashi was quite troubled. Letting him cross the land of fire, wouldn't it bring some troublesome characters to the land of fire? To be honest, a bounty of a full 100 million ryo, looking at the entire ninja world, probably no one would not be moved. As long as this task is completed, they would be rich for the rest of their lives. No more licking blood on knife edges. There must be many bounty hunters with this mentality, and even many ninjas from various villages may think so. Kakashi believes that there are such ninjas in their Hidden Leaf Village. He just hopes that Hidden Leaf Village's ninjas won't come to die. Whitebeard. It's not as simple as they think. This man is very scary. Night soon fell. At this time, in the forest of the land of fire. Humphrey. How could I be grouped with you, disgusting guy? Sasori, known as the genius puppet master, is now a member of Akatsuki, and even considered an old member. He joined Akatsuki a long time ago. Sasori, who was hiding in his puppet Hirogo, is very upset at this moment. The person he dislikes most in Akatsuki is Orochimaru. Because Orochimaru, when he first joined Akatsuki, ignored his art. Even deliberately lost to him and used him to attack the leader opportunistically. This guy not only looks down on art, he also maliciously uses art. Hee. Orochimaru at this stage was wearing Akatsuki's uniform. He stood next to Sasori and let out an ambiguous chuckle. If you don't want to be on the same team with me, you can suggest to transfer me. I have a research project that hasn't been completed yet, and I was forcibly brought here. Saying this, Orochimaru extended his long tongue and licked his lips. But on the other hand, I'm quite interested in that giant called Whitebeard. If he could become my research subject, I would be even more interested. A ninja who is quite interested in a giant. Not only Tsunade, a medical ninja, but also Orochimaru, a ninja who specializes in human body research. The existence of Whitebeard to these two groups of people is like a suddenly emerged rare creature. It's full of temptation. We are now in the land of fire. I heard that there is a ninja named Jiraiya in Hidden Leaf Village who has been hunting you down. I hope you don't drag me down. Sasori glanced at Orochimaru. He snorted, if I find out that you have brought some troublesome people, I will kill you first. Oh? Orochimaru smiled, with your puppet technique, you can't kill me. Orochimaru even licked his entire face with his tongue. His face was full of transparent saliva. You disgusting guy. Don't force me to kill you now. Sasori, hidden inside the puppet Hirogo, twitched his eyelids instantly. There was even a violent look in his eyes. You can try. Orochimaru smiled. Humphrey. Orochimaru and Sasori. These two were bickering on the road while quickly moving through the forest. The two of them have been searching for traces on the road for half a month. Orochimaru and Sasori can be 100% sure. Whitebeard walked along this path. Because there are too many traces left on this path. That giant called Whitebeard didn't deliberately hide those traces. It feels like he doesn't care at all. This may be a unique confidence. But it's quite reasonable. Even if the Hidden Grass Village is weak, it's still a character who destroyed a ninja village overnight by himself. Such a man, indeed, should have confidence. Suddenly, the huge tail needle of the puppet Hirogo turned into an afterimage and stabbed violently into the air. A black and white snake was directly pierced by the highly toxic tail needle. The deadly poison that could kill with just a touch caused this little snake to die instantly. Disgusting guy. Are you looking for death? Sasori glared at Orochimaru, ready to stop and fight Orochimaru for 300 rounds. Hee. Why are you as impulsive and irritable as a child? Orochimaru said, this is my summoned beast. Didn't you see there's a scroll in its stomach? Sasori was taken aback. Indeed, they found that inside the belly of the black and white snake that had been poisoned to death, there was indeed a very small scroll hidden. If there is snake blood on the scroll, it means that my lovely little snake has found Whitebeard, Orochimaru added. Sasori frowned and controlled the puppet to open the scroll, finding that there was indeed a blood stain on the blank scroll. Hee. The smile on Orochimaru's face grew stronger. It seems that we will soon be able to see Whitebeard, who destroyed a ninja village with his own power. If my psychic beast can find him, it means that he is not more than 2 kilometers away from us. Ninjutsu clone jutsu. Naruto was still not resting at night. He skillfully split out a clone, and both the body and the clone each held a kunai and rushed towards where Whitebeard was. Naruto shouted passionately, Pops. Please be careful. I'm coming. He actually attacked Whitebeard. Gorura. Your clone is useless in front of observation hockey, stupid son. Whitebeard didn't even make a move. He just blew a breath forward. The gust of wind caused by this breath directly scattered Naruto's clone and made Naruto's body scream wah-iya-iya. Because of the gusty wind, Naruto's body was blown away. Naruto, who had fallen to the ground, did a kip up and stood up again. He picked up the kunai that had fallen next to him. Naruto's expression was still full of energy. Come again. He rushed towards Whitebeard again, but this time he flew out even faster than before. He even broke a not very sturdy small tree and fell further back, falling dozens of meters away. This is also a kind of actual combat special training. It's still the torture style. Ouch. Naruto felt like his whole body was falling apart. He reached out and grabbed the support next to him. And tried to struggle to get up. But the next second, he found that what he was holding didn't feel quite right. Naruto turned his head in astonishment and found that what he was holding was not the trunk of any tree, but someone's leg. Hee. The stranger's voice was somewhat hoarse. It reached Naruto's ears. Little friend, your physical fitness is quite good. You flew so far and even broke a small tree. Your body didn't break any bones. There are just some bruises and abrasions. It's really interesting. Chapter 79, Invitation to join Akatsuki? I'm Whitebeard. The sudden appearance of a stranger startled Naruto. Naruto quickly got up and retreated several steps. And then he realized that there was more than one person who suddenly appeared. There was actually another person next to this stranger. The bright moonlight filtered through the sparse leaves and branches, allowing Naruto to barely see their faces. He found that the man who spoke was a very pale uncle, as white as a ghost. He also had long hair, the longest hair Naruto had ever seen on a man. And next to this man, there was an even stranger person. At first glance, it seemed like a fat man with a strange tail behind him, like it was made of steel. And this guy's posture was also strange, it felt like his back was carrying something. The whole person was hunched over, like a big turtle. The only thing these two strangers had in common was probably that they were wearing very similar clothes. Both were black robes, with red cloud patterns embroidered on them. Naruto didn't know if it was his own illusion or something else, but he always felt that these two guys in front of him were not good people. So he distanced himself from them at the first opportunity. Hee. Orochimaru looked at Naruto with interest. Not only is your body superior to your peers at his stage, but your reaction speed is also very fast. It's quite enviable. His body is too small, not suitable for making into a puppet. Sasori glanced at Naruto and then withdrew his gaze. He wasn't interested in kids like Naruto. Orochimaru just smiled. Little friend, your name is? Huh? Whoosh! Suddenly several kunai suddenly flew from one direction, causing Orochimaru and Sasori to quickly dodge to the left and right. The kunai deeply pierced the ground. Naruto. Come here. Kakashi, who suddenly appeared here, looked more serious than ever. Don't get close to them. Oh. Here I come. Naruto quickly ran behind Kakashi. Kakashi protected Naruto behind him. His hands were in the seal position. And the Hidden Leaf Village headband that he used to cover his Sharingan, he didn't know when, but he had lifted it up, revealing that Sharingan. Hidden Leaf Village's S-rank rogue ninja. Orochimaru. Kakashi's eyes were extremely serious. He didn't expect to meet a familiar face from Hidden Leaf Village in this place. Oh, no. The other party had defected from Hidden Leaf Village several years ago and became the highest-ranking rogue ninja from Hidden Leaf Village in recent years. Just now, Naruto was knocked out by Whitebeard. Kakashi followed him over there. Mainly because Whitebeard didn't know how to control his strength when he started, Kakashi was worried that if Whitebeard seriously injured Naruto. And what if Naruto happened to encounter a wild beast by chance? As a result, he didn't expect. No wild beasts appeared. What appeared was one of the Sannin of Hidden Leaf Village who had betrayed Hidden Leaf Village, Orochimaru. Is this a coincidence? Or white hair? Orochimaru, who dodged the kunai, stuck out his tongue. Kakashi's features were too obvious. Kakashi, huh? We haven't seen each other for several years, have we? I didn't expect that you would be with Whitebeard. Kakashi. Kakashi Hatake? Hatake? Orochimaru's companion, Sasori, his eyes suddenly shook. What is your relationship with that man called Sakamo Hatake? He is his father. Orochimaru explained for Kakashi, you seem to be in a very bad mood. White Fang of Hidden Leaf Villages. Son? Sasori's childhood memories were stirred. His parents were killed by the White Fang of Hidden Leaf Village during the war. The reason he betrayed Hidden Sand Village was also because of this. Who are you? Kakashi frowned. His father's name hadn't been mentioned for a long time. He didn't expect it to be mentioned today by someone he didn't know. You guys. Kakashi noticed their uniforms and more importantly, they were all wearing a ring. This very unique outfit made Kakashi's pupil shrink. It's Akatsuki. Orochimaru laughed indifferently. I don't really like this uniform, but they insisted that I wear it like this. Akatsuki? Kakashi was taken aback. He felt it was familiar. In recent years, Akatsuki has become well known throughout the entire ninja world. He vaguely remembered that Akatsuki was somewhat like mercenaries. Anyway, it belongs to the kind that is not very visible. He didn't expect such an organization to be so high profile. And there are specific uniforms. Orochimaru and this unknown member of Akatsuki suddenly came over. Could it be that they were going after Whitebeard? Because of the 100 million bounty? Is this bounty even tempting to Akatsuki? Hee. It doesn't matter who I am. What's important is that you are actually the son of the White Fang of Hidden Leaf Village. Sasori controlled his puppet Hiruka and was about to take a step forward with murderous intent. But at this moment, he paused his steps. At the same time, Orochimaru's expression also changed slightly. His gaze moved away from Kakashi and Naruto and fell on the tall and burly figure behind Kakashi. An invisible domineering aura enveloped Scorpion and Orochimaru. Like the sound of war drums being beaten. It was beating everyone's hearts. Gorrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrr Orochimaru and Sasori. Whitebeard looked down at Orochimaru and Sasori. His gaze carried a bit of contempt. Who are these two ninja brats that popped out of nowhere? Whitebeard grinned. The way you two brats are looking at me is really annoying. Gorrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrr Orochimaru was so excited that even his tongue was trembling. They say seeing is believing, he really is a giant. And this kind of oppressive feeling. Orochimaru's mouth curled up. What an incredible spirit. He looked at Whitebeard with a kind of gaze. With a strong desire to possess, as if he wished he could completely possess this incredible body. Sasori was also looking at Whitebeard. Art. This is a body that can be called art. There is nothing more suitable for making into a puppet than this body. Such perfect art should be made into a puppet, so that this piece of art can be preserved forever. Sasori was murmuring in a voice that only he could hear. He was itching to move. Excited. But when the corner of his eye glanced at Kakashi, his excitement instantly vanished. Sasori calmed down. He restrained the impulse to make a move at this time, and instead raised his head and said to Whitebeard, "Whitebeard, you should have some understanding of our Akatsuki organization, right? I'm not a person who likes to dawdle, so I'll just tell you straight. I and this disgusting guy next to me are from the Akatsuki organization. We came here to invite you to join Akatsuki." Orochimaru also said with a smile. "Our leader is very interested in you. You can choose to join us, but if you refuse... You guys want to invite me to join an Akatsuki that I've never heard of?" Whitebeard interrupted Orochimaru's words before he could finish. Whitebeard's expression on his face was as strange as it could be. "That's right." Orochimaru nodded. Whitebeard suddenly laughed heartily. "Gorura, if I join, am I the boss or the junior?" Orochimaru sensed something was not quite right, but still answered. "Hee hee. Naturally, you start as a regular member. Both of you who don't know the height of the sky." Whitebeard's smile gradually faded, and his eyes flashed with anger. "Do you know what kind of behavior it is to say such words to a great sea emperor?" A sense of foreboding surged in Orochimaru and Sasori's hearts. Their faces changed in unison. "I am Whitebeard." The moment his words fell, a conqueror's haki burst out from Whitebeard, shaking the heavens and the earth. It shot straight into the sky. Chapter 80, Whitebeard vs Orochimaru, Sasori. An incredibly strong man. The terrifying conqueror's haki surged in all directions like a tsunami. Even the clouds were shattered by the soaring conqueror's haki. The trees around them were like they had been blown by a strong wind, with a large amount of leaves falling like rain, and the slender branches were broken one by one. The dust and gravel under their feet were all blown away by the conqueror's haki. In the air, there were even visible black arcs flashing. Orochimaru and Sasori, who were in front of Whitebeard. They both felt a terrifying momentum pressing towards them at the first moment. They could also feel a strong wind blowing in their faces. The wind blew their robes rustling, their hair was dancing wildly, and stones and leaves hit their bodies. The conqueror's haki that Whitebeard released this time was not deliberately controlled, but exploded without reservation. Naruto passed out on the spot. Not far away, Uzumaki Fuashi and Karen, this mother and daughter pair, also did the same. They only felt a buzz in their brains. It was no different from being hit in the head with a pneumatic hammer. They immediately rolled their eyes and collapsed. Hey. Isn't that a bit too much? Kakashi hurriedly supported Naruto, who was about to fall face down. His knees suddenly softened. The surging momentum erupted by Whitebeard actually severely affected him, an elite ninja from Hidden Leaf Village. Having experienced a ninja world war and witnessed countless relatives and companions die, Kakashi initially thought that he would no longer fear anything in his life. But at this moment, he smelled a trace of fear from the conqueror's haki erupted by Whitebeard. He was afraid of Whitebeard's aura. Conqueror's haki? Looking at the electric arcs flashing in the air, Kakashi was sweating profusely all over his body. He forced himself to stand up and support Naruto. Is this the conqueror's haki he mentioned? Kakashi was shocked in his heart. If such a terrifying aura erupts in Hidden Leaf Village, it is estimated that it will stun everyone in the entire village, right? Below Jounin Ninja. Probably none will be spared. It seems I've said something wrong and offended a formidable being. Orochimaru's forehead was beaded with sweat. Whitebeard's conqueror's haki was like a huge rock pressing on his heart. Orochimaru, who considered himself a strong ninja, believed that there were only a few people in the entire ninja world who could defeat him. At this moment, he had to admit the formidable strength of Whitebeard. Such a momentum. Unparalleled. Damn. Disgusting guy. It's all your fault. You talk too much. Sasori glared at Orochimaru, but when he looked back at Whitebeard, the excitement in his eyes grew stronger. What a terrifying aura. It's an aura that can affect reality and even a person's spirit. Like Orochimaru, Sasori could also feel that oppressive feeling. Even what he felt was a bit stronger than Orochimaru. If he hadn't transformed his body into a puppet before, he would probably be so scared that he couldn't move his limbs, right? After all, a puppet master is a bit different from a normal ninja. The difference in physique between the two sides is huge. Sasori didn't deny his weakness, but in his view, he had already solved this weakness. Two little ninja brats. Whitebeard held the Murakami-giri in his hand. He laughed grimly. Since the establishment of the Whitebeard Pirates, you are the first ones who want to take me under your command. Let's see if you two have the ability. Whitebeard had already switched to holding the Murakami-giri with both hands. Without mercy, he slashed out with one stroke. So fast. Such a huge body, the speed is not affected at all. Orochimaru's vertical pupils in his eyes shrank, and he quickly retreated backward like a snake shadow intending to dodge. Sasori immediately used the tail of his puppet Hiroko to wrap his body tightly. The thick long Hiroko tail wrapped up was no different from a turtle shell. The scorpion tail of Hiroko was made of special alloy, even a blade covered with chakra could not cut it open. Sasori believed that he would not be like Orochimaru. So embarrassed to dodge this knife. However, the next moment. What? Sasori's puppet made eyes widened a bit. He saw a glimmer of light in front of him. That was the scorpion tail of Hiroko, which had been cut open, causing a ray of moonlight from outside to shine in through the opening. Not good. His reaction was still too late. Whitebeard's knife was wrapped with armament haki. Hiroko was instantly split into two on the spot. The real body of Sasori hidden inside Hiroko also ended up with the same fate as Hiroko. Swish. The sound of the huge blade cutting through the puppet was like cutting through paper. The upper half of Hiroko's body shell and Sasori's upper body shell were thrown high into the air at the same time. His handsome face still looked a bit dazed. His heart was full of disbelief. On the other side, Orochimaru, who had barely dodged Whitebeard's slash and had not yet stabilized his body, saw Sasori being split in two and also saw the real body inside Hiroko. This is troublesome. Orochimaru knew Sasori's strength. Although he thought Sasori would not be his opponent. But he also had to admit, if he wanted to assassinate someone like Sasori, The process would be very troublesome and would take a lot of time. But Whitebeard's blade actually split Sasori in two? Gorrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrr towards Orochimaru. The strong sense of crisis shocked Orochimaru so much that his hair stood on end. Pucci the Murakamagiri easily pierced through Orochimaru's body. His pupils were shaking violently in his eyes. Hey. Orochimaru grabbed Murakamagiri with both hands. What a ridiculously strong man. In this posture where he was skewered, he was lifted into midair by Whitebeard. Hey. Orochimaru suddenly showed an evil smile. But didn't you notice that I didn't even bleed? He opened his mouth wide. A completely new Orochimaru emerged from his mouth, standing on the blade of Murakamagiri, and gazing directly at Whitebeard. Ninjutsu double submerged snake limbs. Orochimaru's prosthetic body, which had been pierced through, instantly transformed into two giant pythons, shooting rapidly towards the direction where Whitebeard was. In the blink of an eye, Whitebeard's palm, wrist, and arm were all tied up, and the two snake heads bit down without hesitation. Crack. The sharp venomous fangs broke directly, unable to pierce Whitebeard's skin, let alone inject venom. What a fascinating body. Orochimaru's main body opened its mouth wide. Ninjutsu, many hidden shadow snake hands. A dense mass of venomous snakes emerged from his mouth. The sight was enough to make one's scalp tingle. Hee. Your skin's defense is very strong, comparable to steel. But what about the vulnerable parts? Eyes? Nostrils? Ears? Orochimaru's mouth curled up, and it was unclear whether his words were true or false. If I can't invite you to Akatsuki, it would be hard to explain to the pain. Chapter 81, Quake Power. Destruction range comparable to Hidden Leaf Village. No wonder that kid said you're a disgusting guy. Whitebeard looked down at the countless snakes, these creatures that could make people's scalp numb, just like that in his eyes. Suddenly the two giant pythons wrapped around his arm shattered in an instant. And the poisonous snakes that were swarming towards Whitebeard, like firecrackers, exploded with a crackle, and blood splattered everywhere. This sudden bizarre situation made Orochimaru pause for a moment. What is this? He could feel a super high frequency vibration coming from the Naginata he was stepping on. Vibration? Ninjutsu? Or is it a KK Genkai that I have never seen before? A sense of crisis suddenly surged in his heart, made Orochimaru feel bad. Orochimaru chose to trust his intuition. Anything that could give him, a ninja of his level, a bad feeling, was definitely not a good thing. He immediately jumped back, wanting to get away from Whitebeard. Then, Orochimaru was shocked to find that there was a ball of white light wave enveloping the Murakamagiri in Whitebeard's hand. What is that? Orochimaru's face flashed with a trace of confusion, and the sense of crisis in his heart reached its peak at this moment. The next moment, Whitebeard had already swung his knife towards the direction where Orochimaru was dodging. At the same time, the power of the Quake fruit was activated instantly. Crack. Under Orochimaru's incredulous gaze, the air was shattered. The scene in front of Orochimaru was filled with dense white cracks. The whole world he saw had lost its sound and color. Boom! The intense tremor rushed forward. Orochimaru couldn't dodge it at all. His pair of eyes even flashed with a hint of fear. He had forgotten how many years it had been since he had felt such an indescribable fear. Death was imminent. Bang! The mighty Orochimaru, one of the Sannin, didn't even have time to make any moves. His false body and true body were all shattered, and both bodies exploded and shattered in the blink of an eye. Sasori was also affected, and Hiruko was instantly shattered on the spot, turning into a pile of puppet parts bouncing around. The chest of the body hidden inside Hiruko exploded violently. The special cylindrical object inserted in the chest was ejected. That was the last organ on Sasori's body, which could be considered as the place where his heart, soul, and consciousness were stored. He called it the regeneration core. This was also his only fatal point. As Sasori's regeneration core was ejected, it gave off a sense of desperate escape. At this time, the intense vibrations brought about by the Quake fruit did not cease, but continued to envelop a large area of the forest ahead. The earth began to crack and collapse. A large number of trees were shattered. Rocks and soil were easily turned into dust. A scene like the end of the world appeared in this area. The range affected by the Quake fruit was at least as large as the entire Hidden Leaf Village. Wherever the ability covered, it was a sight of devastation. A monster, huh? The dissipation of the Conqueror's haki allowed Kakashi to finally stand up straight. But the intense vibration that followed almost made him stumble and fall to the ground. His eyes were full of horror as he looked at the scene ahead. In Kakashi's eyes, the large forest in front of him was completely gone. Under the moonlight, not a single intact tree could be seen. The land was full of gorges and canyons, and the extent of the devastation was completely invisible. If you didn't know, you would think that there had been a violent geological movement. Whether Orochimaru and the others were dead or not, Kakashi didn't know. All he knew was that if he had been standing where Orochimaru and the others were just now, he would have been dead beyond doubt. Whitebeard. He's too strong. Gorrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrr Whitebeard's hearty laughter echoed through half of the forest under the effect of the vibrational force. Why not let your Akatsuki organization join the Whitebeard Pirates and become a subsidiary fleet of the Whitebeard Pirates? Gorrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrr former Sannin of Hidden Leaf Village, just like that, was beaten and ran away? Kakashi, who was behind Whitebeard, was silent, although he didn't know who Orochimaru's partner was, or how powerful that puppet master was. But, since he could become Orochimaru's partner, I'm afraid this person is not far behind. Such two extremely terrifying powers, combined, could probably easily destroy a small ninja village. They couldn't even hurt Whitebeard. Isn't that too strong? Kakashi recalled the miserable state of the third Hokage at that time. Now that Whitebeard's body is healthier than in the Leaf Village, has he become even stronger? In the distance, a severely damaged giant snake, with only a quarter of its body left, vomited a figure from its mouth. With a plop, Orochimaru, covered in mucus, fell to the ground. The body of the giant snake also died on the spot. Breath ceased. Cough. Orochimaru's eyes were filled with bloodshot, his skin was full of cracks, and blood was overflowing from the numerous cracks on his body. That was shattered by the bizarre vibration power. He checked his body. Bone. 37 broken, and 11 shattered. The left lung was pierced by bone fragments, the stomach was also pierced by bones, the skull cracked a crack, and there was a severe concussion. Blarg. Orochimaru vomited blood from his mouth, the strong dizziness made him sitting on the ground, feeling shaky. Both legs were shattered. Orochimaru, struggling to stay conscious, looked at his lower body, and his legs below the knees were gone. An annoying part was also shattered. The thing under Orochimaru's crotch was also gone. What was most horrifying was that the skin on his face had also broken open, revealing a face that was not his at all. TSK, this body is completely scrapped. What a monster. Orochimaru's eyes flashed with apprehension. Is that vibration a KK Genkai? And what's with that aura? Is it a kind of illusion? Or just pure aura? On the other side, a strange cylinder was hanging on the edge of a cliff. The cylinder was slowly dripping blood, and below it was a mini scroll, with the blood just dripping onto the scroll. Bang! An unconscious puppet body suddenly appeared. The cylinder flew towards the puppet's chest in an instant. This puppet's chest just happened to have a vacant gap that could accommodate a cylinder. The puppet's eyes suddenly opened. The appearance of this puppet was exactly the same as Sasori's. But the next second, he knelt down on one knee. Blood overflowed from the corner of his mouth. I almost died. What kind of ninjutsu was that white light? Sasori was extremely frightened, his close combat ability was originally weak. Hiroko used to make up for the shortcomings of close combat was even more fragile than a piece of tofu in front of Whitebeard. Just now, he felt that the regeneration core was almost shattered. If he had hesitated for a second, he would have died. Chapter 82, Harassment of the Ninetales. Observation. Hoki's hearing. You really are in a sorry state. You actually made me wait for so long. Sasori and Orochimaru finally met up. He set a signal and waited here for Orochimaru for an hour. Sasori hated waiting the most in his life, which made him even more disgusted with Orochimaru when he looked at him. Hee. You're not much better, are you? Orochimaru had already changed to a temporary body. He looked at Sasori and marveled. If I remember correctly, you should have been cut in half by that guy called Whitebeard. Well, it seems like I've discovered some secret. Orochimaru licked his lips. As a puppet master, did you modify your own body into a puppet as well? Did you change to another body? What did you use to change it? How did the soul and consciousness after changing bodies transfer to another puppet? Orochimaru was curious. This triggered his interest as a scientist. Humphrey. Scorpion didn't bother to explain to Orochimaru. You should consider how to explain to Pain when you go back. If it weren't for you dragging me down, I would have brought Whitebeard back to the Akatsuki organization. Hee. Orochimaru was non-committal. What an annoying person. One change to a brand new puppet. One change to a temporary body. These two people looked like they were in good condition. Of course, the premise was to ignore their clothes. The black robe with red clouds of the Akatsuki organization had long been shattered by Whitebeard, The outfits on them were no different from beggars, even worse than beggars, they are barely covered with clothing. If you didn't know any better, you'd think they were playing some kind of act. Why? Am I here again? Naruto, who was stunned by the conqueror's haki, suddenly found that there was water that had flooded his ankles under his feet. Naruto immediately remembered that he had always dreamed of this place, where the Nine Tails lived. Uncle Kakashi seemed to have said, "This is the sealed space inside the body." Hey, kid. The Nine Tails had seen Naruto come to this place more than once. The last time it found that it couldn't scare this kid, so this time it didn't bother to scare him. The Nine Tails leaned against the cold wall, in a very anthropomorphic posture, with its forelimbs resting on the back of its head. Its two hind legs were crossed. It looked down at Naruto like this. "It's you again." Naruto frowned, but suddenly noticed a blind spot, which surprised Naruto. "Eh? Big Fox, why don't you have a bird and golden eggs? Damn kid. Are you cursing me?" The Nine Tails fur exploded instantly, it bared its teeth and grimaced. "Believe it or not, I will break out and eat you?" Naruto's little face was quite innocent, "But you don't have it." "Nine Tails." "That," Naruto said. "I heard from Uncle Kakashi that every time I'm about to give up during my special training, it's you who lend me strength to keep going." "Kakashi? The brat with one Sharingan?" The Nine Tails snorted. "So what? Can you lend me a little more?" Naruto was enthusiastic to give it a try. "You've only been lending me a small amount of power each time, and I already feel like I can accomplish the special training tasks my pops assigned to me. If you give me more, wouldn't I be able to double the number of special training tasks my pops gave me?" "Get lost." The Nine Tails refused without even thinking. But Naruto was still in the seal space. Naruto hesitated. "Big Fox, what do I need to do to get you to lend me more power?" The Nine Tails glanced at Naruto. It pointed its sharp claw at the seal on the door. It laughed grimly. "If you tear this thing open, I have no problem to lend you all my power." The tone of the Nine Tails, full of strong temptation. "Kid, I know you're very eager for power," the Nine Tails said. "Don't you feel that every time you encounter danger, you can't do anything and you always have to rely on your pops to save you, which makes you feel like you're dragging your pops down? Tear it open. Rip it off." The Nine Tails became more and more excited, and the grim smile on the big fox's face became more and more ferocious. "You must be very eager for my power, right? Then do as I say." "No." Naruto shook his head decisively. "I've already told my pops about your existence, and pops told me not to believe you. You're doing this because you want to do something bad. Damn Whitebeard." The Nine Tails put away the ferocity on its face. The big fox couldn't help but curse. Big Fox, I'll talk with you again tomorrow night," Naruto said seriously. "I will definitely impress you. ZZ." This time, Naruto really woke up. As soon as he opened his eyes, he found that it was dawn and his small body was rising and falling. Upon closer inspection, he found that he was now lying on his dad's shoulder. Just like the last time he passed out. It was a similar situation. "Pops, where did those two ninja uncles go last night?" Naruto looked around and couldn't see Orochimaru and say sorry. "Gorurura. Foolish son, are you awake?" Whitebeard grinned. "How come you woke up later than Karen and Faashi? As for those two ninja brats last night, they ran away with their tails between their legs." "I see." Naruto suddenly realized. Suddenly, Naruto found himself being picked up. Turning his head, he saw his dad's mischievous smile. "You dimwit. Now that you're awake, let's begin a new round of special training today. Today, I'll continue to train you about observation haki." "Okay. Pops." Naruto nodded like a pecking chicken. Although the big fox was unwilling to lend him more power, Naruto didn't feel regret or discouraged. He was still full of energy. His blood was boiling. Time passed. Day by day. The territory of the Land of Fire is very large in the entire ninja world. It naturally takes a long time to traverse the entire Land of Fire, especially when there are two children in their group. Today, it's the 19th day of Whitebeard and their group's journey across the Land of Fire, and Naruto has been away from the Hidden Leaf Village for almost 4 months. The climate within the Land of Fire has changed from a hot summer to a cool autumn. Whoosh! Suddenly, an irregular stone the size of Naruto's fist flew past, grazing Naruto's temple. But Naruto, by a stroke of luck, dodged the incoming stone. "Yay! I dodged all 50 stones." Naruto excitedly took off his blindfold. Although he looked extremely disheveled, the smile on his face was exceptionally bright. "Pops, have I learned observation haki now?" Even if Whitebeard and the others were on the move, they didn't fall behind in their special training progress. Gorurura. Whitebeard laughed. "Stupid son, you're making good progress. But this is just the first step in awakening observation haki. The second step is to block your ears too. Observation haki is about listening but without using your ears. Foolish son. Chapter 83, The Curiosity of the Ninetales, Training in the Sealed Space. Today's observation haki training continued until the evening, and Naruto, who had lost both his vision and hearing, was once again subjected to hardship. After a day of hard training, Naruto was exhausted, with various injuries all over his body. But he didn't rest for long. He got up and started learning ninjutsu with Kakashi. Until late at night. He fell asleep. Tonight, Naruto came to the sealed space again. During these 10 or so days of travel, he had been harassing the Ninetales for more than 10 days, without a day off. Stinky kid, are you ever going to stop? The Ninetales rolled its eyes in annoyance. I'm so sick of seeing your face that I want to vomit on the spot. However, Naruto didn't care about its irritable words. Big Fox, why can I still dodge the stones that my pops throws at me when my eyes are covered? But Naruto looked confused. Once I block my eyes and ears together, I can't dodge at all. Pops said that observation haki is used for listening. But it's not about using your ears to listen. Naruto sat down without caring about the water under his feet. He propped his cheek with one hand, and his little brain was spinning wildly. Naruto was thinking hard. Big Fox, you said you've been alive for a long time, you must be very knowledgeable, right? You must be very powerful, right? What do you think? I'm lacking? Naruto asked curiously. Humphrey. I'm not just knowledgeable, but also very powerful. The Ninetales proudly raised its head. It opened its eyes and looked at Naruto's troubled expression, and the smile on the fox's face was somewhat schadenfreude. Don't think about it, stinky kid. With your brain, you won't understand it even if you think about it for a lifetime. The observation haki that Whitebeard talked about is nothing more than a special perception that can still be used normally after all your sensory organs are closed. The Ninetales had been staying inside Naruto during this period of time. Naturally, it also knew what observation haki was. Is that so? Naruto seemed to understand. I didn't expect you to be so powerful. The Ninetales' smug smile became even brighter. It talked eloquently. Whitebeard's way of training you is not wrong. This special perception must be triggered and activated in a very critical moment. Then, it depends on whether you can capture that feeling. And capturing the feeling of a crisis of death at that moment is the so-called listening. As the Ninetales spoke, it felt something was wrong. Hold on. Wait a minute. What exactly is the principle of this observation haki? It suddenly woke up. The observation haki that Whitebeard wanted to teach Naruto was completely inconsistent with the ninjutsu theory in the Ninetales' eyes, and it caused a lot of conflict with everything it knew. To close all your sensory organs, but still be able to perceive everything around you through another way. How does this third eye sound so unreliable? It remembered that Whitebeard had explained what observation haki was. But the Ninetales didn't think deeply about it before, but now, let it really think about it. This is not ninjutsu at all. That is a conclusion drawn by the Ninetales. The Ninetales frowned. It no longer boasted, but was thinking. It started to get curious. For a fox, once curiosity arises, it can't be suppressed no matter what. Even if it is essentially a tailed beast, its body is made up of chakra. But it has consciousness after all. It also has its own emotions. The Ninetales suddenly had the impulse to know what that was. So, it looked at Naruto in front of him thoughtfully. Kid. The Ninetales' ferocious smile suddenly became full of malice. It said. Do you really want to learn this crap? Pops' observation haki is not crap. Naruto corrected seriously. Just say if you want it or not. The Ninetales rolled its eyes. Every time it said something bad about Whitebeard, this stinky kid would retort a few words. I do. Naruto nodded seriously. But he was a little depressed. But I don't know what to do. I asked Pops, how long will it take for me to awaken observation haki? Pops said, I'm so young, it will take at least 1 or 2 years. What if your soul can also be trained in your dreams? The Ninetales' smile became more ferocious. Kid, you don't need you to lift the seal, you just need to come in. Come in? Naruto looked at the prison holding the Ninetales, the width of the prison bars. In fact, his size could squeeze in. After I go in, you won't eat me, will you? Naruto tried to ask. The Ninetales snorted coldly. I'm not as despicable as you think, I would never do such a thing, it sounds more like something that Tanuki would do. Kid, don't you want to learn observation haki? You don't want to disappoint your pops, do you? Every word of the Ninetales hit Naruto's heart. It really had Naruto figured out. Sure enough. After these words fell, Naruto immediately stopped hesitating. Pops is so good to me, I won't let him down. He overcame his fear of the Nine-Tails monster and actually stood up and walked to the front of the sealed prison. He measured the width with his hand and squeezed in hard. "Kid, you're really brave." The Nine-Tails' ferocious smile became even more malicious. "You, roll over there, keep your distance from me." "Okay." Naruto obediently walked over there. "Now, close your eyes and block your hearing," the Nine-Tails said. "In the sealed space, you are a soul, or just a consciousness. These things, as long as you think about it, you can do it." Okay. Naruto did as he was told. Seeing that the brat really closed his eyes, it seemed that he had also closed his hearing. The corners of the Nine-Tails' grim smile were almost reaching his ears, and the Nine-Tails behind him were slowly swaying. "Stinky brat, don't collapse so easily, let me, the Nine-Tails, have a good time." As his words fell, a large number of chakra lines burst out of its body, and the end of each chakra line actually condensed into a fist. In an instant, a chakra fist fell straight on Naruto's right face. He gave Naruto a hard right hook. "Ah!" Naruto stumbled. He hurriedly tried to sense where other attacks would fall. But he couldn't sense anything. Puff! That chakra fist fell on his abdomen, and Naruto almost vomited up bitter water. "It hurts. How can it hurt in a dream?" Naruto struggled to stand up. He gritted his teeth and held on. Because he knew this was a training session arranged for him by the big fox, although he always felt that this big fox was not kind-hearted. But such an opportunity, Naruto didn't want to miss it. Ha ha ha. It's so good. It's so refreshing. The Nine-Tails burst into laughter. "Minato no Mikaze. Uzumaki Kushina. Do you see it? I'm beating your child." Ha ha ha. Chapter 84, Roots Action. Shizue's Eyes. The next day, at 5 o'clock in the morning, Naruto woke up. He felt that all the fatigue on his body had been recovered through sleep overnight. But his head was a bit groggy. He was beaten up in a strange dream all night. The big fox in his body didn't show any mercy at all. Naruto had forgotten how many heavy blows he had taken. All he knew was that he was screaming miserably in his dream. The big fox's training was exactly the same as Whitebeard's. But for some reason, Naruto only felt that a surge of chakra that didn't belong to him seemed to emerge in his mind. "It's the big fox." His groggy head began to clear up. Naruto was both surprised and happy. Although the Nine-Tails was the culprit for him being regarded as a demon fox, Naruto also knew that he couldn't get rid of the Nine-Tails. Instead of regretting, it's better to try to get along well with the big fox. After all, the power that the big fox lent him made Naruto quite envious. "Thank you, big fox." Naruto thanked sincerely in his heart. He didn't know if his voice could be heard. The Nine-Tails' cold snort suddenly sounded. "Don't flatter yourself, stinky kid. I'm just interested in that observation hockey." Today, Naruto's special training was weight-bearing training. His weight has increased from the initial hundreds of pounds to nearly 500 pounds now. It's equivalent to him having to carry 3 to 4 adults every day, and he's just a little 5-year-old kid now. How does Naruto seem to be tireless? Uzumaki Fushi noticed something was wrong. "It's the Nine-Tails," Kakashi said. "The Nine-Tails inside Naruto has lent him more chakra. I heard Naruto say that he has been dreaming of the Nine-Tails these days." Kakashi speculated. He should have learned how to communicate with the tailed beast, and the tailed beast inside him is also willing to communicate with him. Speaking of this, Kakashi breathed a sigh of relief. If the Nine-Tails inside Naruto is a tailed beast that doesn't like to communicate, I might be worried all the time. Worried that this tailed beast will suddenly lose control one day. But if the Nine-Tails can communicate, it means that Naruto could potentially become a perfect Jinchuriki. In that case, the tailed beast inside Naruto would no longer be a threat, but rather, a great help to Naruto. Suddenly, a breeze blew in his face, carrying a bit of moisture and a different smell from the usual breeze. Gorura. The familiar sea breeze made Whitebeard, who was walking in the front, laugh out loud. "Stupid sons and daughters. Just now, I have already smelled the sea. The sea is right ahead." "See?" Karen looked forward curiously. "Pops, it's so blue ahead." Even though Karen had put on a pair of glasses at a young age, she still saw the endless blue sea in the distance. When Karen looked up slightly, she could also see the seabirds, which were completely different from the birds in the deep forest, circling above their heads. "What a white bird!" Karen exclaimed. She suddenly felt a bit greedy and eager to try. These big birds should be delicious when roasted. During her time with Whitebeard, Karen's introverted personality, which was caused by the darkness of the hidden grass village, had already changed. "Pops, Naruto, Mom. These people are always giving her the warmth of a family." "No, not like a family. They are family." "Gorura. That's a seagull." Whitebeard messed up Karen's hair, his laughter was really happy. Good men on the sea can't just eat seagulls. When you're lost at sea, if you can see a seagull, it means you can survive. As long as you sail in the direction the seagull is flying, you will always be able to escape danger and return to land. In short, any seabird on the sea is a good omen for pirates. Whitebeard added with a nostalgic tone. Some seabirds on the sea even carry a package. The package contains newspapers. As long as you give it money, it will give you newspapers. Naruto was also attracted by Whitebeard's words. How amazing! Naruto exclaimed. A bird that delivers newspapers? Gorrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrr I just don't know if it exists in the ninja world. Kakashi was holding a book called My Uncle's Bird Is So Small He Bought It on the road when he passed through a town. Kakashi was reading My Uncle's Bird Is So Small with a blushing face. He said, "As far as I know, there is no such bird in the ninja world. But if we train a bird-type ninja beast, maybe we can train this kind of bird." He was also clear that once they reached the coastal area of the Land of Fire, Whitebeard would take Naruto and run to the Land of Water. Then they would go to the shipyard of the Land of Water to build that Moby Dick. But even if he knew about this, what could he do? Rather than worrying about this, it's better to read novels. Meanwhile, on the other side, a group of ninjas wearing various root masks and a hidden leaf village ninja without a mask. They were quickly moving along the same road. "Shizue Uchiha, what did you just look back at? Is there anything unusual behind?" Arujounen noticed Shizue's small movement very keenly. "No." Shizue Uchiha shook his head. This group of people was Shizue Uchiha and root ninjas. "Humphrey," the Arujounen said coldly. "Don't forget what your mission is this time. A slight negligence will lead to a total loss." Shizue nodded, he was sparing with words. "I know." A while ago, Shizue Uchiha ran into Shimura Denzo on his way home. Denzo informed him of certain matters based on the Hokage's order. At the same time, he also gave Shizue an order. Use those extremely special eyes to control Whitebeard. Shizue still remembered the important words Denzo said. If the Jinchuriki loses control, even if it's because of Whitebeard, the village will still suspect the Uchiha clan. "Shizue, you don't want this to happen, do you? Your eyes are the piece given to the Hidden Leaf village by our ancestors. As long as they are used properly, the village and the Uchiha clan can enter a long period of peace." "Shizue, this is not only my idea. This is also the idea of the third Hokage, Koharu, and Hamura. Whether Hidden Leaf village can be peaceful depends on how you use your eyes. I'll give you 3 days to think about it. I hope you won't let Hidden Leaf village fall into war." It has to be said that Denzo had Shizue under his control. Every word he said was a critical hit to Shizue. But for some reason, Shizue always felt that something was not quite right. After all, the reputation of the root is negative. Something about the root doesn't seem right. Greater than Shizue frowned and murmured in his heart, "I hope it's just a lie." Chapter 85, The Once Nation-Destroying Crisis. Kill Whitebeard? Hokage-sama, Shizue Uchiha has been missing for quite some time. Inside the Hokage building in Hidden Leaf village, an Anbu ninja reported the information he had to Hiruzen Sarutobi. "According to my knowledge, Shizue Uchiha had a private meeting with Denzo of the Root Division before he disappeared. My subordinate guesses that there must be a special connection between the two. If we search for information through these aspects, we should be able to find their whereabouts." However, when he said this, the Anbu ninja suddenly realized. The expression of the Hokage did not change at all. It seemed like he already knew about this. Sarutobi Hiruzen was puffing on his pipe. TSK. He was looking at the official documents on the desk, while casually responding, "I know, let's not worry about the two of them for now. I have a task for you, pay attention to the reaction of the Uchiha clan after Shizue disappears." "Yes, Hokage-sama." The Anbu ninja quickly nodded. With a swoosh, he disappeared. Only Sarutobi Hiruzen was left in the empty office. He lifted his eyelids, turned his head to look out the window, and pinched the pipe with smoke curling up. "Denzo, you finally chose to do this." Although Denzo didn't tell him much, Sarutobi Hiruzen knew Denzo very well and knew what he would do. Denzo only said that he wanted to use Shizue's eyes to deal with Whitebeard. But Sarutobi Hiruzen felt that Denzo wouldn't just do that, he would do something more than that. Deliberately leading Shizue to a place far away from Hidden Leaf village. With Denzo's character, would he only do it for Whitebeard and Naruto? "Denzo, don't do something that gets me in trouble." Sarutobi Hiruzen took a deep puff of smoke. No extra expression could be seen. "Hokage-sama." Suddenly, the door of the office was pushed open, and Itachi rushed in anxiously. "Hokage-sama, Shizue." Is he okay? Saratobi Hiruzen showed a slight smile. Don't worry. He said, Shizue and you are the future of the Uchiha clan, he will be fine. Saying this, Saratobi Hiruzen added, Denzo, he won't do something to him. Adding this last sentence cleared everything up. In a coastal town in the land of fire, Naruto, with a blindfold tied over his eyes, was constantly groping forward. This was also part of Whitebeard's training for Naruto's observation haki, allowing Naruto to walk on the road without sight. Then, the civilians in this town in the land of fire. They saw a very strange scene. A blind child with blonde hair, carrying a load several times larger than his entire body, was walking staggeringly on the road in the town, occasionally hitting a wall head-on. A giant man with a large body, holding a large naginata, followed behind the blonde child. A pair of red-haired mother and daughter, hand in hand, followed behind the giant. There was also a masked man with an ecchi book in one hand and his other hand in his pocket. No one dared to stand in front of these weird people. Even when these weird people appeared, people in the town didn't dare to go out. One by one, they only dared to hide in their homes and open the window cracks to avoid being targeted by the weird people. Mainly, Whitebeard gave these civilians too much pressure, that ridiculously large naginata just by looking at it. It makes people shudder. It's chilling. It feels like being avoided like a plague god. Kakashi, with one dead fish eye, glanced at a house next to him. His gaze met the peeping gaze inside the house. Immediately scared the owner of the house to quickly close the window. This exaggerated reaction made Kakashi very helpless. It didn't take long. Whitebeard suddenly grabbed Naruto by the back of his collar, like picking up a kitten, and lifted him up, saying, Stupid son. If you keep going, you'll fall. Eh? Naruto, who was blindfolded, was stunned. He lifted a corner of the black cloth covering his eyes. Naruto was taken aback. It's the sea. Although Naruto had never been to the seaside before, he had seen some photos of the sea in the village, so he naturally knew what the sea looked like. And there are so many boats. Naruto's eyes looked left and right. He found that there were large and small boats parked here. Pops, there must be at least 20 boats here. The smallest boat could probably only accommodate 1 or 2 people. The largest boat could probably fit 20 or 30 people. Gorrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrr This is just the scale of a small fishing village. The vast sea in front of him. It stirred Whitebeard's mind. At this point, Whitebeard suddenly noticed that Uzumaki Faashi seemed a bit off. At this moment, she was standing still, her eyes gazing at the sea, filled with a touch of reminiscence and distraction. "Mom, it's hurt." Karen, whose little hand was being held by her, reminded her weakly. "Oh, I'm sorry, Karen." Uzumaki Faashi woke up and quickly squatted down to check her daughter's hand. "Does it hurt a lot?" "Mom will blow on it for you, and it won't hurt after blowing." Uzumaki Faashi blew on Karen's hand. When she stood up, she found that Whitebeard, Naruto, and Kakashi were all looking at her. "Big sister, what's wrong?" Naruto asked curiously. "I feel like you seem a bit upset." In fact, even Naruto himself didn't know why he could feel Uzumaki Faashi's sad emotions. "Because Uzumaki Faashi took a deep breath, "because I remembered what this place is. When I was a child, I escaped from the Hidden Eddy village. The first stop of my escape was a small town in the Land of Fire. Here is that small town." She looked around. "I didn't expect. Even after more than a decade, it hasn't changed much. If you sail in that direction from here, you can reach the Hidden Eddy village in less than a day. And then set off from Hidden Eddy village, you can reach the Land of Water in a few days," Uzumaki Faashi said. Although she is not a navigator, her experience of fleeing when she was a child made her know how far the three are from each other. Huff. "We're here." In the distance behind Whitebeard and the others, figures suddenly appeared on the rooftops of the town. Most of them were wearing masks. Only Shisui Uchiha who doesn't wear a mask. Whitebeard, Jinchuriki, Kakashi Hatake, a red-haired kid, and a red-haired woman. A root ninja put down his telescope and described the situation. 5 people in total. "We can ignore Kakashi Hatake, he's one of us from the Hidden Leaf village, he won't help Whitebeard. We can also ignore the Jinchuriki, after all, he's just a 5-year-old kid. What we need to deal with is Whitebeard, and those 2 red-haired women." The root ninja's tone was murderous. "Shisui Uchiha, whether we can kill Whitebeard or not depends on you." "Kill?" Shisui frowned at the root ninja. "Denzo told me that I just need to use the Sharingan to change Whitebeard's will. He never told me to kill Whitebeard." After saying this, Shisui found that all the root ninjas had their eyes locked on him, which made him tense up. Plans can change during a mission, it's normal. This is the latest instruction from that person. the root ninja explained. Chapter 86, Denzo steals Sharingan. One-eyed says no. Shizue Uchiha, you don't want to carry out the mission. The tone of the root ninja carried a hint of threat. Its unfortunate Hidden Leaf village has finally trusted the Uchiha clan, but do you want the entire Uchiha clan to be distrusted by Hidden Leaf village from beginning to end? You need to think clearly. The future of Hidden Leaf village and the Uchiha is in your hands. Prove your will of fire. Shizue Uchiha. This set of words, everyone in the root division knows. The purpose is to prevent Shizue Uchiha from turning against them halfway. Apparently, his words seem to work. The hesitation and struggle in Shizue's eyes were cast behind him. Let's start the mission. Shizue Uchiha took a deep breath and said, the Kodoa Matsukami in my eyes has a very long cool-down time. Once I use this extremely special eye technique, the next time I want to use it, it might be more than a decade later. That is to say, we only have one chance. If we don't seize this opportunity, the mission will fail. What? More than a decade? The root ninja next to him was taken aback. Wait a minute. The face under the root division mask frowned. You never said the side effects were so big. He asked, is it one eye cooling down for more than a decade, or both eyes? The root ninja's tone was a bit anxious. The situation was beyond his initial expectation. Why do you ask this? Shizue Uchiha looked at him in surprise. It seems to have nothing to do with you, Root, right? Shizue didn't notice that the root division ninja who was furthest from him, who seemed to be on guard behind them, was actually eavesdropping on their conversation all the time. When the root ninja heard the conversation here, the only eye exposed outside the bandage under the mask shrank. The wrinkles on his face trembled even more. Irrelevant? How could it be irrelevant? If this pair of eyes, after using it once, needs to cool down for more than a decade, then what use is it for Denzo who won't steal this pair of eyes? Yes. Among a group of root ninjas, one of them is Denzo. Denzo doesn't want people like Whitebeard to survive in the world. He doesn't want the Jinchuriki to be out of his control. He doesn't want the Uchiha clan to have such terrifying eyes. Therefore, under the non-interference of Sarutobi Hiruzen, he took the liberty to secretly contact Shizue Uchiha in the name of Sarutobi Hiruzen. He wanted to use Shizue Uchiha to kill 3 birds with 1 stone. First, let Shizue Uchiha control Whitebeard with Kodoa Matsukami, and then kill Whitebeard, a highly threatening figure. Then, when Shizue Uchiha's chakra is depleted and weak, he will immediately take action to snatch Shizue's eyes. Finally, capture the Jinchuriki and hide it in the root, turning the Jinchuriki into his tool. In this way, eliminate the threat of Whitebeard plus possess the Mangekyo Sharingan plus possess a 9-tails Jinchuriki. The next Hokage of Hidden Leaf Village. Who else could it be if not him? Even if that monkey guy is unwilling to abdicate, he only needs to use Shizue's eyes to first change the will of the Jinchuriki, making the little devil loyal to the root. Then, use Kodoa Matsukami again to change the monkey's will. Let him directly abdicate and give up the power of the Hokage. Humphrey. By then, I will become Hokage. But the information Shizue Uchiha just revealed made Denzo realize that the situation has changed. If the cooldown of Shizue Uchiha's eyes is long, then the plan to kill 3 birds with 1 stone would be useless. He can only choose 1 out of 3. Either don't snatch the eyes first, just kill a Whitebeard, or snatch the eyes, grab the Jinchuriki and run, or snatch the eyes, go back and complete his succession to the Hokage. Denzo's eyes narrowed slightly. Shizue Uchiha. Suddenly, Denzo, who was behind, flashed and came to Shizue. He spoke in a voice that was not his own. I suddenly received an order from Denzo-sama. The plan to assassinate Whitebeard has changed again. Shizue's eyebrows did not relax. Changed again? What are you rude guys up to? Because, Denzo-sama realized that you don't want to do this. Denzo, disguised as a root ninja, said. You've been hesitating from the beginning. And if your eyes cooldown is too long, they really shouldn't be used here. They should be used in more critical places. Shizue Uchiha did not refute. He really didn't think that Denzo's extremely radical approach could eliminate the threat of Whitebeard to the Hidden Leaf Village. In Shizue's view, perhaps the Hidden Leaf Village could try to accommodate Whitebeard, instead rejecting Whitebeard from top to bottom. If they do that, it will only deepen their enmity. Shizue, Denzo-sama has asked me to ask you a question. Denzo's eyes narrowed into a slit. You once said that you wanted to use your eyes to change the will of the Uchiha clan leader to prevent the Uchiha clan's coup d'etat. Shizue's brows furrowed deeper. He noticed that the positions of the root ninjas around him were very strange. Rather than saying they were preparing to hunt Whitebeard, it's better to say that they are subtly surrounding him. Denzo slowly took off his mask. Revealing a wrinkled old face, he asked word by word, Then how can you ensure that you won't use these special eyes to change my will? In an instant, the killing intent that Denzo had been brewing suddenly erupted, and the cold light in his squinted eyes was revealed. Under Shizue's shocked gaze, his right arm had already pierced like a long spear, heading straight for Shizue's eyes. However, Denzo's cold eyes suddenly lost their focus, and his fingertips stopped slowly when they were only 2 centimeters away from Shizue. Stopped slowly. Shizue's pair of red eyes, the Mangekyo was spinning crazily. Actually, I've been guarding against you guys all along. Shizue Uchiha ignored the root members around him. This was the confidence of Shizue who could teleport, and the confidence of having the Mangekyo Sharingan. This is just an illusion. Puff. Shizue's eyes suddenly widened, the twisted feeling in his internal organs almost made him retch on the spot. Denzo decisively struck Shizue 3 times in the abdomen, neck, and chest. His right hand popped out again, directly aiming Shizue's right eye. Izanagi? As Shizue covered his empty right eye socket, and his left eye looked incredulously at Denzo, who was holding a bloody eyeball, a smile appeared on his face. Originally, I planned to deal with Whitebeard first, then take your eyes. But the information you revealed made me feel that I can't wait. I suddenly feel that this eye shouldn't be wasted here, it can play a bigger role in my hands. Sharingan is not something only you Uchihas have. Denzo untied the bandage covering his right eye. A 3-Tomoe Sharingan lost its brilliance. Completely scrapped. I will use your 2 eyes to replace mine. Denzo's tone was murderous. Go. Take him down. Yes. The root ninjas closest to Shizue suddenly threw several round balls under their feet. The round balls exploded with a bang. Strange smoke filled the air. Shizue, whose eye socket was bleeding, just smelled a bit of smoke, and he felt a sharp pain in his respiratory tract, which made his face change abruptly. Poison? So, you've been prepared to kill me all along? Itachi, you guessed right after all. Shizue covered his painful right eye socket, cold sweat was coming out. The village has never trusted me, no matter what I do, as long as I have these eyes, they will never trust me. His left eye flashed with determination, the 3-Tomoe turned into the Mangekyo Sharingan. The pattern in his eyes spun wildly. Susanoo. Pops, you've been looking over there for a while, what's going on over there? Naruto noticed that Whitebeard had been looking into the distance for a while. He also curiously looked in that direction. Suddenly, Naruto's eyes gradually widened. What is that? Chapter 87, Escape Route. Shizue bumped into more Akamagiri. In Naruto's stunned gaze, he saw a figure like a green skeleton emerging in the distance. Even in broad daylight, the figure of the skeleton was still so eye-catching. The momentum even brushed past Naruto, causing Naruto's short hair to sway gently. What is that? Kakashi also immediately looked over, his pupils involuntarily shrinking slightly. What is that thing? Kakashi had never seen Susanoo, even though one of his own eyes was actually a Mangekyo Sharingan. Uzumaki Fuashi immediately pulled Karen behind him. Karen, stand behind me, she said solemnly. The only one in the field whose face did not change was Whitebeard. Whitebeard was squinting his eyes and looking at the situation in the distance. Gorura. He laughed with interest, it's really a big guy. It's even taller than the giants on the sea. The green skeleton they saw was at least 20 meters tall. And, this green skeleton seemed to only have an upper body. Pops, do you know what this is? Naruto swallowed a mouthful of saliva in the dark, and he turned his head to look at Whitebeard again. I don't know. Whitebeard said confidently. Kid, don't ask Whitebeard, it's better to ask me. A sudden voice rang in Naruto's mind. Naruto was startled. Big Fox? The annoyed voice of Kurama continued. I didn't expect to encounter the Mangekyo Sharingan in such a ghost place. Mangekyo what? Naruto was taken aback. Mangekyo Sharingan. Are you listening carefully, you little kid? The Nighttail snorted coldly. Huh? That skeleton is a technique of the Mangekyo Sharingan, its full name is Susanoo. Naruto turned his head and said to Whitebeard and others, Pops. The Big Fox said, that is the Mangekyo Sharingan Susanoo. Ninetails' eyelids jumped suddenly. It gritted its teeth for a while. This stinky kid. Reveal it so quickly? Mangekyo Sharingan? Susanoo? Kakashi instinctively touched his own Sharingan. So, over there. Is there a person from the Uchiha clan? A kid from the Uchiha clan? Whitebeard was familiar with this family, he had encountered troublesome kids from the Uchiha clan in Hidden Leaf Village. He also found a friend from the Uchiha clan for Naruto. Called Sasuke Uchiha. Just at this moment, a rumbling sound came from a distance. Flames and smoke rose in circles. It seems that the fight has started. Huff. Huff. Damn, the poison not only affects my chakra. It It's also damaging my body. Shizui, who was protected inside Susanoo, looked pale. He was kneeling on one knee on the ground, sweating profusely. Moreover, the impact of Susanoo on body cells is much greater than I thought. This is the first time I used this technique. At this moment, the area where he and the root were was in a mess. There were fires and thick smoke everywhere, and pits of varying depths were all over the ground. Many buildings had collapsed into ruins. There were also many screams and wails from civilians, which made Shizue very reluctant to act. He was a bit hesitant to make a move. There were also many bodies nearby. Some were civilians. Some were ninjas. The number of root ninjas, which initially exceeded 10, has now been reduced to only 5 as they attempted to stop Shizue. Shizue Uchiha, you are indeed an anomaly of the Uchiha clan. Even at the moment of death, you still want to deliberately avoid those civilians. Denzo calmly looked at the Susanoo. He still held Shizue's eye in his hand. It's a pity that you have an eye that I want. After saying this, Denzo sighed. I didn't expect the Mangekyo Sharingan to have this kind of power. Thanks for your sacrifice. After your 2 eyes belong to me, I will inherit this power and use it properly. Shizue was panting heavily. He was staring at Denzo. The tearing pain in every cell of his body, and the increasingly unstable chakra, made him start to realize that Susanoo couldn't hold on for much longer. Maybe it can't even hold on for 10 seconds. In 10 seconds, maybe he could deal with a few root ninjas next to Denzo, but he couldn't deal with Denzo himself. No. He absolutely can't let both eyes fall into Denzo's hands. If this ambitious man have 2 Mangekyo Sharingan, he will definitely do something bad. But where can he run? Huh? Wait. Shizue, with a surge of strength from nowhere, suppressed the toxins rampaging in his body, controlled the green Susanoo, and decisively attacked in the direction of Denzo and others. Humphrey. Your movements have slowed down. Denzo dodged Susanoo's attack, and just as he was about to say something, he was shocked to find that Susanoo had disappeared. He even saw Shizue Uchiha suddenly collapse on the ground. Exhausted? The next moment, Denzo's expression froze, because Shizue, who had collapsed on the ground, popped into a puff of smoke. As if it was just an illusion. Damn Shizue. Denzo immediately gritted his teeth. Chase him. We can't let him run. One Mangekyo Sharingan fell into Denzo's hands due to Shizue's carelessness. He didn't want the second Sharingan to fall into the opponent's hands as well. So, he ran. Shizue knew where he should run. He endured the discomfort in his body and ran towards the sea with all his strength. Because there was Whitebeard by the sea, and there was also Kakashi Hatake. Especially Kakashi Hatake, this person is a man of the 3rd Hokage, he will definitely not collude with Denzo. Perhaps this is a chance for survival. Faster. Even faster. The toxins inhaled into the body have made Shizue's breathing difficult. One eye forcibly opened Susanoo, causing countless cells in his body to emit painful howls. His lips have turned black. The right eye is still bleeding. The scene he could see in front of him began to blur. Shizue knew that it was not his Sharingan that had a problem, but his consciousness had a problem. His consciousness is fading. He could rely on his vision for the first few seconds, and for the next few seconds, he relied on the memory in his brain. During this period, he accidentally fell several times. But he quickly got up. Until he suddenly bumped his head into a very hard thing. He directly hit his head and bled, and his consciousness, which had collapsed into a line, also collapsed on the spot due to this impact. His vision was pitch black. His consciousness sank. He fainted on the spot. In the 2 seconds before Shizue fainted, he vaguely heard a childish voice shouting in panic. Pops. Someone bumped into your Naginata. And why is there so much blood on him? This was Naruto's voice. Whitebeard looked down at Shizue, who was lying unconscious on the ground. The Uchiha clan emblem on Shizue's body was very eye-catching. He then looked ahead. He saw that the root ninjas had already chased over here, but they didn't make a move because they all saw Whitebeard. For the people of the Leaf Village, no one doesn't know Whitebeard. They are root. Kakashi immediately recognized the identity of these people. Their masks are different from those of the Anbu. Wait. That's Shimura Denzo. Kakashi's eyes widened a bit. Then who is this? Kakashi squatted down, turned Shizue's head, and let Shizue's head turn to the side. A familiar face made Kakashi's pupils shrink instantly. Shizue Uchiha. Root? Whitebeard didn't care who Shizue Uchiha was. On the contrary, the root in Kakashi's mouth reminded Whitebeard of something. His eyebrows raised. Is it the group of masked kids from that broken village who wanted to assassinate me? Gorura. Is it a coincidence or not? Chapter 88, Negotiation? Alright. Then let's have a pirate-style negotiation. Chapter 88, Negotiation? Alright. Then let's have a pirate-style negotiation. Whitebeard, Kakashi, Jinchuriki. Denzo didn't expect that Shizue Uchiha's escape route would be here. He actually ran directly to Whitebeard's side. You know, Shizue Uchiha's mission this time. Isn't it to assassinate Whitebeard? But it was also because of the existence of Whitebeard that Denzo instead immediately went forward to him. He decided to take Shizue's life and eyes. His expression was quite solemn. This is a man who has defeated Sarutobi. Denzo knew very well about Sarutobi Hiruzen's strength. He knew that even though Sarutobi Hiruzen was old, there was still no one in the entire Hidden Leaf village who could defeat the monkey. Until Whitebeard appeared and broke the title of the strongest Hokage. This shows. Whitebeard is a very strong character. And the group of root ninjas he brought with him had already been killed by Shizue, leaving only a few people. Damn. It's become tricky. Denzo's expression was very ugly. Thoughts were tumbling in his mind. He was weighing the pros and cons. Whitebeard. Hand over that traitor from Hidden Leaf village to me. Denzo labeled Shizue as a traitor and said to Whitebeard, this person ruthlessly killed more than 20 root ninjas and is already a traitor to Hidden Leaf village. If you hand him over to me, I will pretend that I did not find your trace today. Denzo decided to talk with Whitebeard first, but his attitude was very tough and there was no weakness at all. A traitor? Kakashi was taken aback. When did Shizue become a traitor to Hidden Leaf village? How come he didn't know? Gorrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrr negotiate with me? Damn it. This guy. Denzo's heart was filled with anger, and Whitebeard's mouth that said whatever he wanted made him want to tear it apart. But the Mangekyo Sharingan are too important. Let's call it a negotiation. Denzo suppressed the anger in his heart and said with a stern face. You may not know who I am. I am the leader of the root of the Hidden Leaf Village, Shimura Denzo, a high-ranking leader of the Hidden Leaf Village. You hand Shizue Uchiha over to Root, and I will pretend that I haven't seen you today, and also pretend that I haven't seen that Ninetales. Denzo didn't notice that when he said the word Ninetales, Naruto's expression visibly fell. Whitebeard keenly noticed the low mood of his silly son. Whitebeard, I know you have taken in this Ninetales as your adopted son, and I also know that you have established a deep bond with him. Denzo was afraid that Shizue Uchiha would suddenly wake up. He half threatened and half negotiated. If you and Root start fighting here, it will definitely affect him, right? You don't want your adopted son to be hurt, do you? Whitebeard. Kakashi Hatake. What are you winking at? Denzo suddenly noticed Kakashi winking at him. He couldn't help but snort. As an Anbu ninja, you not only didn't take the Ninetales back, but also let the Ninetales leave the country several times. If you were a ninja of my root, you would have been punished long ago. I don't know why that monkey guy values you so much. Kakashi. At this moment, he really wanted to break open Denzo's head to see what his brain was made of. Is that called winking? That's called giving a hint. Kakashi has been trying hard to hint at Denzo with his eyes, telling him not to sweat on Whitebeard's bottom line. Every sentence Denzo just said made Kakashi's eyelids twitch. Kakashi knew that Whitebeard's character had a unique boldness, which most ninjas in the ninja world did not have. Rather than calling him a pirate, it would be better to call him a chivalrous man. If threatened, he might just laugh it off. He doesn't take such threats seriously at all. But if someone threatens Whitebeard's family, that's a completely different matter. With this realization, Kakashi couldn't help but raise his head. He took a look at Whitebeard. He found that the smile on Whitebeard's face had already converged, but soon Whitebeard suddenly showed another kind of smile. He found that Whitebeard's smile, without any mockery or ridicule, and without any cheerfulness or openness. The eerie atmosphere made Kakashi's hair stand on end. When he saw this scene, Kakashi realized something was about to happen. Damn. Kakashi involuntarily took a few steps back, pulling Naruto and Karen back with him, and quickly said to Uzumaki Fuashi, please take this person on the ground away. Please. Uzumaki Fuashi was surprised. This was the first time she found out. Someone asked her not in a commanding tone. Okay. She immediately helped the unconscious Shizue Uchiha up. At this time, Uzumaki Fuashi found out that this person was missing an eye. And it looks like he's been poisoned. Gorrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrr called Route of Hidden Leaf Village. If you want to negotiate with the Whitebeard pirates, then you have to negotiate in the way of pirates. The way of pirates negotiation? What is that? Denzo frowned involuntarily, but since the two sides could talk, he didn't want to do it with such a strong man. Seeing that both Mangekyo Sharingan could be in his hands, Denzo didn't want to have extra trouble at this time. He couldn't help but show a smile. because Denzo felt that his toughness had softened Whitebeard. Let Whitebeard know that he, Denzo, is not a soft person like Sarutobi. Sarutobi, oh Sarutobi. The Whitebeard that you can't handle is nothing in front of me. You are old. Alright. Denzo cast aside the excess thoughts in his mind. He nodded and said, in that case, let's negotiate as you said. Then, you should give your... Denzo hadn't finished his sentence. The root ninja next to him changed his face. Denzo-sama. Be careful. What? Denzo was suddenly startled, his eyes gradually widened. Because he saw Whitebeard had already picked up an incredibly large naginata and was fiercely chopping towards Denzo's direction. Hold on. What about the agreed negotiation? Gorrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrr wrapped in armament haki, the blade was pitch black, and the Conqueror's haki that burst out from Whitebeard was even more sweeping forward. The few remaining root ninjas, including Denzo, were all directly stunned by the Conqueror's haki. By the time they were sweating profusely and reacted, Whitebeard had already grown bigger in front of them. Whitebeard, who was fiercely releasing Conqueror's haki. In their eyes, it was even more like a demon god descending. The crisis of death is imminent. That's how pirates negotiate. Whitebeard's roar, accompanied by the flickering arc of the air, echoed throughout the town, "Take my knife hard and then negotiate. A bunch of ignorant little devils." Gorrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrr vs. Whitebeard. A Sword That Shakes Heaven and Earth Chapter 89, Denzo vs. Whitebeard. A Sword That Shakes Heaven and Earth. Denzo knew that Whitebeard was very strong. Saratobe Hiruzen, who had been hospitalized for nearly a month, was the stepping stone to prove Whitebeard's strength. But he didn't expect this man to be so strong. Saratobe Hiruzen did not elaborate on his battle with Whitebeard, and Denzo thought that the two sides had fought for a while. The situation at that time should not be one-sided. It was not until now that Denzo realized that Whitebeard, who had defeated Saratobe Hiruzen, was like an Azura when he was angry. That kind of domineering momentum is unparalleled. The speed of the swing is as fast as thunder. The root ninja standing in front of Denzo was not much better than him. His body is so fragile, just like a lump of clay, it twisted and deformed. Until, the body exploded with a bang. This is the external release of armament hockey. Denzo, who was behind that root ninja, vaguely sensed the crisis coming. He also wanted to urge his body to move to avoid this fatal attack, but Whitebeard's speed is too fast. Denzo was not only shocked but also experienced a sharp pain, akin to having a layer of flesh sliced from his body. At this time, the Uchiha clan has not yet been destroyed, and Denzo has no chance to transplant so many Sharingan on his body. The only Sharingan he transplanted in his right eye was used to deal with Shizui. That was the only Sharingan that Denzo transplanted at his stage. But he has the other one, transplanted on his right shoulder. The terrifying sense of oppression and the approaching crisis of death make Denzo realize if he is reluctant to use it today, he will die. Hare. Pig. Goat. After hurriedly stuffing Shizui's Sharingan into the sealing scroll, the only action he could do was urgently make 3 hand seals. These 3 seals combined are also his biggest trump card. Denzo's body was not much stronger than that root ninja. When Murakamagiri had not yet touched his body at that time, he was already blasted by the armament hockey released by Murakamagiri. Blood splattered. Whitebeard's sword did not stop after slashing 2 people in a row, but directly smashed onto the ground. Boom. The entire earth trembled violently because of this sword, and the rolling waves of air lifted the remaining root ninjas around. They were like being hit head-on by an invisible big truck. Vomiting blood in midair. Whitebeard stared at the 2 pools of blood on the ground, and suddenly sensed something with his observation hockey, and without hesitation, he punched his left hand back. Poof. Denzo, who suddenly appeared behind Whitebeard with a kunai, wanted to stab the kunai into Whitebeard's neck. The result was completely unexpected that Whitebeard could actually find him. Whitebeard's punch directly blasted him out. Denzo only felt that his whole body's bones were shattered, and the organs in his body were all stabbed into a sieve. But when his corpse fell in the distance, it disappeared like a mirage. And then Denzo, who was intact, appeared next to the disappearing corpse, and his face was now full of horror and incredulity. How did he find out? By using Izanagi to mix reality and illusion together, Denzo can be in an unkillable state for a minute, and the price is that a Sharingan will be permanently blind. The secret technique he used to ambush Shizui and Whitebeard is the Izanagi of Uchiha clan. Just what Denzo didn't expect was even Shizui couldn't detect the Izanagi, but Whitebeard unexpectedly saw through it at once. How? Did he see it? What an amazing perception. Is Whitebeard a sensory ninja? Gorura. Whitebeard's laughter was full of interest. I can be sure that I have killed you twice, but each time, You can live again. The ninjutsu in ninja world is really weird. Hearing Whitebeard's tone, which he didn't know whether it was praise or mockery, Denzo was so angry that he gritted his teeth. Damn it. Only 50 seconds left. The Izanagi I used was in vain. I couldn't instantly kill Whitebeard. Denzo was determined in his heart. I am invincible in these 50 seconds. Shishui has fallen into my hands, let alone you, Whitebeard. Wind-style Denzo quickly made hand seals with both hands, until he decisively opened his mouth and said, vacuum wave. What he spit out from his mouth was a crescent-shaped wind blade. It's more than 10 meters long. The slender and mink-like white wind blade is going straight to Whitebeard. Swordsman slash? The familiar scene made Whitebeard raise his eyebrows, and a smile on his face became more and more prosperous. A slash spit out from the mouth? It really gives people a sense of nostalgia. Gorrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrr flashed in the air. Buzz. The wind pressure rolled up by the blade seemed to perfectly fit the breath of all things, and a visible slash wave was slashed out by Whitebeard. Longer than the vacuum wave spit out by Denzo. And thicker than Denzo's vacuum wave. When the two collided in midair, Denzo was shocked to see that the vacuum wave ninjutsu he spit out was shattered by a sword. What's more, he did not detect any trace of chakra from the slash that Whitebeard slashed out. What is that? What kind of ninjutsu is that? Denzo's pupils suddenly shrank. He didn't bother to avoid the slash, and let the slash with unabated momentum tear him. His body was torn to pieces. The next second, he appeared not far in front of Whitebeard. His thumb was bitten through. Summoning jutsu. Baku. Bang. A giant summoned beast suddenly appeared in front of Whitebeard, with Denzo himself standing on top of the summoned beast's head. The summoned Baku didn't hesitate to attack Whitebeard. Its sharp claws went straight towards Whitebeard. Gorrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrr dogs, and monkeys. Can you actually summon such a big beast? Kakashi, who was hiding far behind, said. At this moment, facing Baku's claws that were even bigger than his own body, Whitebeard didn't dodge. Instead, he pushed up with one hand. Bang! The huge power of the giant summoned beast shattered the ground under Whitebeard's feet. But what was surprising was that Whitebeard actually withstood this force. And it was with one hand. But compared to the sea kings in the ocean, your summoned beast is no different from a small mouse. Whitebeard's slightly bent arm exerted a little force, and he actually lifted Baku's huge body, causing Baku's limbs to become unstable. Baku staggered and retreated several steps. Its huge eyes were full of shock when it looked at Whitebeard. Denzo, what kind of monster have you provoked? Baku can't speak, but it can communicate with spirits. Its tone was extremely shocked and incredible. I don't want to encounter him either. Denzo's expression was ugly. Baku, I only have 30 seconds left, quickly show your most powerful ability. Understood. Baku rushed towards Whitebeard and opened his mouth wide. A terrifying suction erupted from his mouth. A large amount of objects in front of Baku, including the seawater in the sea, were all sucked up. Its big mouth is like an invisible black hole, trying to devour everything in front of it crazily. Even Kakashi and others who were hiding in the distance. They were all sucked. What's going on? Naruto felt his feet off the ground. He was scared and wanted to hold some heavy objects next to him, but found that there were no heavy objects at all. What? Naruto, Kakashi, Karen, Fuashi, they were all sucked up off the ground. Snake. Boar. Sheep. Earth style. Earth flow wall. Kakashi immediately made hand seals with both hands, and a thick earth wall rose up in front of him immediately. The earth wall barely blocked Baku's suction. Let Kakashi and others fall to the ground. Almost got eaten. Naruto's face was full of lingering fears. He suddenly saw Karen next to him looking shocked behind him. Look behind. Karen pointed to the sea behind him. Her little white face was extremely shocked. Several people immediately looked back. They were immediately horrified. The rolling seawater sucked up by Mangman came like a huge wave. The exaggerated wave at first glance was at least more than 10 meters high, and even many sea fish were sucked up. No wonder he could become a teammate of the third Hokage. The summoning beast he summoned is so exaggerated. Kakashi's forehead oozed a few drops of cold sweat. He thinks that even if Denzo couldn't beat third Hokage, it won't be much worse. Kakashi-san, the seawater is coming. Uzumaki Fuashi took a deep breath. She put down the unconscious Shizue Uchiha, and suggested solemnly, I will put a few earth walls with you to block the waves behind. Okay. Although there are two little kids always dragging their feet, but fortunately there are ninjas from the Uzumaki clan. Even if Uzumaki Fuashi is just a Chunin ninja, and her body is very weak, she doesn't know how big the earth flow wall can be released. But it's better than doing nothing. Kakashi started to make seals again, and Uzumaki Fushi was also making hand seals. But at this moment, the movements of the two of them stopped at the same time, and they both cast their eyes on Whitebeard's back. Whitebeard. Kakashi's pupils dilated. Pops. Uzumaki Fushi sighed with relief. Whitebeard's left fist was enveloped by a vibrating white light, and then Whitebeard casually threw a punch behind him. Crack! The air was shattered, and the intense vibration spread backward along the air, hitting the huge waves that were set off behind. Suddenly, the huge waves stopped. You could vaguely see that the seawater actually showed cracks from the vibration, and the cracks covered a large area of seawater in the blink of an eye. Boom! The huge waves that were set off were blasted apart. A large amount of water splashed around, turning into a downpour, and a heavy rain fell on half of the town. The scene was very shocking. Gorrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrr flashed with a cold light, and the astonishing suction power of Baku made him move forward, his feet plowing 2 long trenches on the ground. Humphrey. Don't think you can deceive me. Although he is taken aback by that strange power, this is an opportunity to seize. Humphrey. You're too arrogant. You can't move because of Baku, can you? Whitebeard. Don't be arrogant just because you can face Saratobi Hiruzen. I am the strongest in Hidden Leaf Village. Denzo didn't hesitate to make a hand seal. Wind style, vacuum great sphere. He took a deep breath, and his chest expanded a lot. Finally, he exhaled. A strong wind vortex like a cannonball went straight towards Whitebeard. Where the vacuum great sphere passed, even the ground was torn apart. It was as if a straight river channel had been artificially excavated. It was so powerful. Don't be too arrogant. You stinky wind-blowing machine. Whitebeard's left fist glowed white again, and the power of the quake fruit was activated again. He raised his hand and smashed a punch forward. Crack! The vacuum great sphere was shattered in the blink of an eye. The terrifying tremor did not weaken because of this, whether it was Denzo or his summoned beast, their faces changed drastically at this moment. The vibration-induced cracks in the air spread to Baku's body, and its skin was directly shaken out countless cracks. The bones in its body were broken one by one. Its eyes were full of bloodshot. Roar, 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 roar. Baku let out a deafening howl. The force of the vibration came too fast, and Denzo, who was standing on top of Baku's head, didn't even have a chance to dodge, and his body was blown to pieces. The time for Izanagi is over. When Denzo appeared again, there were still no scars on his body, but a look of fear began to appear on his face. Damn it. Denzo couldn't help but curse under his breath. Anyone who consumes 2 Sharingan at this time would feel a pain in their heart. The key is, apart from the eye of Shishui that was just snatched, he doesn't have any extra Sharingan on him. You can't expect him to use Shishui's eye right away, can you? How can this eye be wasted here? Even if Denzo is unwilling, he has to face reality. He is not Whitebeard's opponent. He has been able to hold on until now, entirely relying on Izanagi. If he didn't have this secret technique, he would have died several times already. Looking at Whitebeard in front of him holding Karen, Denzo felt an unprecedented pressure in his heart. Without the secret technique of Izanagi, he only had 1 life left. Die one more time and you're really dead. Run. I must run. Apart from those root ninjas who were killed by Whitebeard, he still has a support team on the way behind him. As long as he can meet with that support team, he can save his life. Denzo absolutely cannot die here. He hasn't made his contribution to Hidden Leaf Village yet. He hasn't become the Hokage of Hidden Leaf Village yet. The fear of the approaching death made Denzo hurriedly shout to the summoning beast, Baku, hold him back. I have a way to deal with him. Baku didn't doubt it. Even if its body has been shaken by the aftershocks, and its bones don't know how many have been broken, and even the 7 orifices are bleeding like a faucet, it still opens its mouth and spits out a hurricane at Whitebeard. The surging gusts of wind, carrying flying sand and rocks. Even rocks weighing hundreds of pounds were blown away. Denzo, his vision is disturbed by me, you can start. Huh?